What happened? What did I do? I just didn't click it. Is that real?
Is that real? Oh shit.
That actually just happened? What the fuck?
Alright, so I've got to go through and edit all the messages and change the wall links. Because otherwise if people click on it, it'll go to random shit now.
Right.
That's one thing I don't like about YouTube. It can be annoying if you gotta reload your stream.
Oh my god, my voice sounds so bad on your your channel. Oh my goodness. Yikes.
I think my voice sounds a bit worse on your end as well. That's what Discord compression or whatever you want, voice over IP compression does to you.
Oof.
Just maybe make a little disclaimer in the description as well. Like, had some recording issues for game 2 or whatever.
God damn it. That was like one of the best games of the year.
Hero is one of the few players that could actually make the game look like that from that position, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's wild.
There, edited every single link.
Okay.
Damn, you won't be making that mistake again in a hurry.
What a pain.
I mean, at least it's not complete end of the world. Like, imagine if I wasn't streaming as well and you didn't have something to pull at all. That'd be rough. It's okay, we just got one game of slightly worse quality, production-wise.
Yeah.
It happens.
It happens. Unfortunately, it does happen.
Think of how, like, crazy some of... Remember, like, the Artosis and Nick shenanigans when they first were doing ASL, when they had that weird mic setup? Like, shit happens, you know?
True. Yeah, there were some pretty bad ones. I just always think about what the comments are gonna be.
Oh, don't worry about it, you know? You gotta do you at the end of the day.
Unwatchable. Unwatchable.
Dustin says, I did a review once on a whiskey sample, phone ran out of data, had to re-review. You had to re-review your review, man. Forgot to turn the audio on.
I give your re-review a 5 out of 6.
Yeah, we're gonna have to review your re-review.
I'm gonna review your re-review, and then I forgot to record it, so we'll have to re-review that.
Only had 2 ounces. You're a lightweight, Dustin. You're a whiskey reviewer that can't hold your liquor. What are we gonna do with you? What whiskey was it? Some top label shit. Oh wow. Was it good? Was it smoky and smooth, or what was your deliberation on it? Yeah, me personally, I wouldn't spend anything crazy on whiskey. I'm happy with my low tier shit. But that's just me. I guess occasionally I'd appreciate a good whiskey once in a while. Be like, yeah, I'll have something that'll hit a little bit differently. But that's probably not really worth the money most times for me. Yeah, you got examples, that's free. But if you're reviewing it, I guess you got to review it from the lens of like what you're getting as a customer, not just you testing an example, right? So like if you were actually looking to purchase a whiskey, what would you think of this whiskey? It's easier to say something's good if you're doing it on the basis that it doesn't cost anything. Yeah. How are we doing, Sam?
I'm trying to download your video. It's taking a really long time somehow. I don't know. I don't know why. Alright, it's at 30%. I guess we'll just go on and
Okay.
keep recording. Okay. Alright, you ready?
Yeah, ready, bud.
Alright, we're recording. Alright, hopping on into game number 3, YSC versus Royal. Hopefully that last game, the quality wasn't too bad. A bit of a mistake with the recording software on my end, and we're going to have to use Shun's recording for his stream, so if you guys noticed that, I'll probably put like a banner or something during that last cast, but yeah, that hasn't happened for a while, has it, Shun? I mean,
No.
we used to have those problems all the time.
Yeah, way back when, about a year ago, we'd have some hiccups like that. Yeah, we haven't had that for a while. But it happens sometimes. Luckily, I was doing a bit of a live stream with that, so he has a bit of a backup, so to speak, but the quality will take a hit. So, but now we should be back with a little bit of a higher level of production that you guys are familiar with, and a little bit of a wall in from Royal in the natural expansion. Not on 8 racks or anything crazy, but definitely going to be wanting to wall in at the forward position here and try and deny some surface area from YSC early game. Maybe wanting to get this 14cc as a bunker expand, 15cc rather.
YSC has been putting out some great games lately. He's been carrying a little bit the Protoss squad in some of the series that he's been involved in, so looking forward to seeing him getting some wins here. He'll have to go through Royal, though, who's on a hot streak. Looking very strong against both these previous two opponents. Hopefully we won't see YSC go for like a DT play or anything wild like that. Seems like Royal's really on top of his game right now. I'd just like to see a typical standard YSC style fast shuttles and a lot of gateways, and see if he can smash down Royal before he gets that third base.
Yeah. I mean, this bunker expand, I think, is going to give a little bit of an edge to Royal. Nothing too crazy, but we'll make him comfortable in that mid-game stage and maybe reduce some of the hope of YSC from dismantling him. And Royal is so far like on an absolute streak. Like, if he takes out YSC here and one of the other Zerg squad, then we don't have to worry about Barracks getting absolutely manhandled by the likes of Snow or what have you, which could have happened if Royal was to bite the dust early on. And Royal is kind of like the ace card for Terran right now in dealing with Protoss. So as long as he can navigate this, the first few games here, he's going to put Terran in a good position. But so far, losing this SCV, building the bunker, and now a little bit annoying for Royal as the other SCV with a bit of a unluckiness here, going to be targeted down and forced to retreat. Another SCV coming off the line to get that production back going again. But so far, taking a bit of damage onto these Marines. Not going to get the kill on that Marine, though. So Zealot finding some damage, but not the infinity damage that Artosis would talk about.
The bunker is quite late here. The Marines are pretty low. Whenever there's been a couple of hits onto any of these Marines, with the Dragoon coming forward, you can just start to snipe those down really quickly. But in this case, he's going to be pushed back. He got an SCV kill in the main base.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of information about the follow-up from Royal. So I feel like YSC looking great right now. Oh, almost getting another SCV. I mean, this has gone about as well as you could ever expect against Royal. I mean, he's well known for being nearly unbreakable in the early game. Just look at how it went against Best. He had everything sewn up perfectly. This time, though, YSC finds a way in.
I mean, yeah, he needed to find some kind of compensation for just allowing Royal to get this bunker expand kind of mostly undeterred, so does find a bit of damage. Like, Royal was mining in as an expansion before YSC had finished his, so still a bit of an economic boon for Royal, but losing a couple of those SCVs does reset that just a little bit and prevent that economic curve from getting a little bit out of hand and allow YSC to stay in the ebb and flow of the game a little bit more here.
We're going to have some taxation, some Protoss tax pretty soon. Just as the factors are finishing up, that Dragoon range should be done as well. Start to hit that bunker. Unless we had the range or the robotics before range. I didn't see that. There was a little bit too much chaos going on in the Terran base.
I think so.
But it might be, yeah, robotics before range, and YSC not dealing damage to that bunker, not taking that tax. Maybe he's going to be able to try and get in here with the Reaver a little bit quicker, though.
Yeah, and it's going to be
Royal has the perfect the perfect counter with that starport coming online.
Right.
One Wraith should shut everything down.
Yeah, exactly what I was about to say an astute observation. That starport coming online gives him a lot of quick tech options, but also does allow him to produce a Wraith to shut down any kind of Reaver shenanigans. And if you do get the chase down on that shuttle with the Wraith as well, that can be huge. And if the speed on the shuttle won't be online for quite some time, so that is a very strong possibility. And he won't scout this starport for quite a while. It's right in the bottom right pocket, and he's even getting a control tower on that as well, so we might even see like a little bit of a vulture drop action at some point as well. So
yeah, vulture drop could come through. I'd much rather see that Wraith produce first, though. Turrets are starting to come up. Really does seem like he wants to go for some sort of vulture drop, which means he'll have less tanks being made at this early point in the game, which could mean that the Reaver could deal some pretty strong damage. I don't know if Royal's completely figured this out. I thought that he had a good read, though, when he saw that there was no range, and he pushed out to get a vulture on the map. He scouts that there's no fourth base and puts a mine at that location. I mean, he's removing all the possibilities of what this could be, and he should come to the conclusion that this is going to be a shuttle with a Reaver, and that the Wraith would be the right counter to that, but he's actually building a dropship right now, and he's going to drop 4 vultures into the main base of YSC while the shuttle comes into his base. It's just going to come down to who's going to deal more damage with this play, though.
Yeah, but but the thing is that YSC has no idea about this dropship play. Like, he didn't check down at the very bottom edge of Royal's base with these observers in his main base. So the surprise factor might be just what Royal needs to do critical damage here. There's going to be no anti-drop defense, and at this timing, it's so weird to have a dropship. But the Dragoons are actually going to spot the dropship en route. So that's a bit of life here for YSC. He can start to get his units, but the Dragoons are blocking each other. He can't get them through the choke point quick enough. And now the vultures have a few more precious seconds to ravage this probe line. It's really unfortunate that YSC couldn't get his Dragoon through that choke. He's now going to lose a few additional probes to this effort, and also additional vulture coming to the third base location to get a double dip damage here. Only one probe falling there though, but it doesn't matter. I think the main base lost mineral mining and also losing a few probes there was more than enough damage here for Royal to kind of cement his position in this game.
I'm really confused now, Shun. We skipped early range, or we delayed range to get the faster robo just to get observers out? Is that what has gone on here? Because I didn't know that was a build. I thought this was...
This is how... Yeah, well, this is how like someone like Quark would play. Like, a lot of Protoss players value the information a lot more than anything else. And they want to get an observer into the... Ooh! Nice pick up on those 2 Dragoons with that mine. But yeah, they want to get the information warfare going their favor so they can make the right decisions following that up. And they know exactly what the timings of the Terran are when they're making additional factories. It's very difficult for the Terran to have any timings that can crack you open. And does allow you to min-max your progress and your tech choices as Protoss. So yeah, he has got that going for him, and it's not necessarily the worst way of playing, but yeah, I don't think these additional drops are going to be too successful here, but this is a tank and 2 vultures, so a little more of a tactical drop with the mines detonating on those Dragoons and the pickup from the dropship. They're able to micro this down. If this was just pure vulture, this wouldn't be too successful, but now the tank's going to get some splash damage on these probes with some good target firing. Actually going to be getting maybe a mine hit as well. Not actually getting the mine hit, but this is actually pretty good damage from Royal, honestly, and he's got enough back at home to defend any kind of pressure to this third base as well. So this is looking pretty tight and solid for Royal. Even though he didn't find too much additional damage in the main base there, I think he's doing just barely enough to stay ahead of YSC, and I think that's all he needs to do.
YSC looking a little sloppy here, honestly, not pulling the probes from the main base. What was going on there? That tank got just an uninhibited amount of damage, so much damage on those probes, in fact, that YSC is probably not going to have the probe saturation necessary for 4 bases, and he's switching into carrier right now in a position that's right in front of where Royal was doing that drop. So yeah, I mean, he knows everything. Yeah. He's going to be able to transition here easily into +2, right? He's already got the starport done. All he needs to do is just build that science facility, start the +2, and start pumping out a ton of Goliaths to take this fight right before YSC is ready. There's just not very many units out on the map right now for YSC. I can't imagine this carrier play getting online. Can you?
Yeah, it's hard to see it like bear him much fruit here. He's even like not even started the upgrades on the cybernetics core to get the weapons upgraded on those carriers yet. So he's really strapped for cash and struggling just to squeeze out the carriers alone. And now Royal knows that there's a 2 to 3 minute timing where he can just roll out onto the map and put a lot of pressure onto YSC, because a lot of resources are being invested into these carriers, which means there's not going to be as much infantry force on the ground to stop these Terran pushes coming to fruition as he starts to secure this high ground plateau area. If he can get some tanks sieged up here, it's going to be huge, but so far YSC is trying to react to that, just trying to charge forward, get on top of the tanks with his Dragoons, raining down a lot of slaves disruption shots. Most of those vultures biting and does quickly. He's just barely got enough Dragoons here that it looks like he could overwhelm this force and win. If he can kill these tanks right here and right now, he may have enough left over that he can get this carrier force out and operational, saying just barely.
My eyes deceive me. YSC just beat that entire tank, vulture, and Goliath army with just pure Dragoon only. That is insane. How did he have so much? With triple carrier being produced behind it, he just overwhelms this massive push from Royal. What even happened there?
I mean, I don't even know, because it's not like Royal's cutting anything. He went up straight up to 7 factories before even thinking about taking a 4th command center, so he hasn't made any cuts either. And now the carrier's coming under pressure. I don't know what these carriers are doing. What are you doing? Don't lose this carrier. Oh, he just loses 1 carrier for free. The huge miss rally issue there. I don't know what happened there. I don't even know how that happened, actually, because the carriers weren't rallied from the Stargate. He must have like clicked them over to just chill, maybe click too far on their minimap or something. That was wild, because the interceptors weren't even built up on those carriers yet to even be a threat to the Terran.
YSC asleep at the keys right now. What is going on? I mean, he was obviously playing fantastic the way that he held that first attack. Now he's getting shoved back, and his carrier number is dismal. Like, he lost that first carry. He's got 3 more on the way, so he will get to 4 soon, which is kind of the scary number, but he didn't deal massive damage to Royal. He didn't stop this play from coming, right? He's still going for this 7 factory push. It's just he really reset the tank count, which means that the ground army is not going to be that strong for Royal. But if YSC keeps fumbling the ball like this, Royal will just kill him.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of bizarre. It was almost like YSC felt bad about winning the fight, and he was like, "Hey, have one of my carries as some compensation, so he didn't feel so bad."
Exactly. He just sent it in. That was so strange. It was almost like a miss rally or something.
Yeah.
But why would you be rallying your
I know, right?
carrier? It's so strange.
Yeah.
So strange that even happened.
I don't know. It's some kind of weird glitch in the matrix here with what's been happening in some of these first few games. Maybe a little bit of nerves showing, but these carriers are trying to like make their way around to the top right corner of the map. And when Terran is out of position, he's going to start harassing the mining expansion while trying to get head-on engagements of a Zealot bomb in the rear here. Tanks are sieging up a little bit late, so the Dragoons did get a lot of damage done for free on this Vulture Goliath threat, and there's not a lot of tanks here, but just barely enough to fight against these Dragoons now. YSC needs to turn back and run at this moment here. He is trying to deny this gas being mined at the 3rd base. If he can somehow kill this gas and deny a little bit of the economy from coming online for Royal, maybe he can make something work here, but the supplies are looking pretty Royal favored as long as he can get his economy stabilized. But so far these carriers are kind of like getting away with murder right now in the top right, saying that gas is being killed. Finally some Goliaths are coming into that pocket to ward away these carriers, but I don't feel like he should have lost his gas there. I feel like he's being stretched a little bit unnecessarily thin.
Well, there's only 2 Goliaths with this tank army, and there's only like 8 tanks, 7 tanks in this. So even a small ground army from YSC could just break the back here of Royal. At the same time, carriers could clean up all the Goliaths and take out the tanks for free. Let's see what YSC opts to do. As he's losing his 4th base, he needs to make a move pretty quickly.
Well, he's deployed all the interceptors by targeting his own building. Now he's going to try and pounce in on this position from the high and low ground simultaneously. There's not a lot of tanks here. He's going after the tanks. He's ignoring the Goliaths and trying to reduce the tank count as quickly as possible so the Dragoons have completely free reign. There's only one tank remaining now. These Goliaths can get absolutely gobbled up by the phase disruption shots off those Dragoons, and YSC is completely cracked open. The army of YSC, inversely though, has lost this Nexus at the 9 o'clock position, so some compensation for losing that army for Royal, but still with 3 bases mining operation. Oh, look at this drop in the main base, killed so many probes. He's under the production, and one of these Goliath carriers actually getting targeted down, just barely saved in the nick of time by YSC, but has done a little bit of a dent into the economic infrastructure of YSC. But so far it's looking a little bit YSC favored. We do have their 4th base online for Royal in the bottom right, but so far the supplies and game state is heavily favoring YSC, and if he can't produce enough Goliaths to start to fight back these carriers, he's going to lose additional bases here soon, Sam.
We're seeing a massive gap between engagements and like decision making, I think.
Yeah. With
the engagements going super heavily in favor of YSC, whereas the decision making seems a little bit better for Royal, but I mean, can you still win with just good decision making if your engagements all go horribly? I feel like this carrier army will eventually just overwhelm you and run you down. And he's losing the base in the bottom right. He is, setting up a position on the other side of the map with a bunch of mines that might be able to catch some of the reinforcements for YSC, but he's losing the space. There's not a lot of space. with all the supply depots that were built here, he can't really defend this base in the top right with Goliath. He's actually kind of messing himself up by just having such a position here, and he's losing his ground army as well. Why is he overwhelming with Dragoons? I mean, this game is looking very over 60 supply advantage with this many carriers. There's almost no way to come back.
Yeah, it's really frustrating because there's no way he can both secure this 4th base and defend this 3rd base against the carrier fleet harassing from that dead space in the top right pocket. And without like cloaked wraiths or something to shut this down, it's looking pretty bleak here for Royal. He's going to try and make a gambit of it anyway and just shove his army down on this right-hand flank. I think he's actually hesitating because he knows that he can't keep defending against this carrier fleet as well as expand. He's starting to realize how dire his position is, and if YSC keeps exploiting this pocket in the top right, there's going to be nothing Royal can do, and he's continually bleeding off more and more of these carriers. Royal's going to get mined out in his main and natural in a few moments here as well. While YSC has this expansion set up in the 9 o'clock. This is a huge army of Dragoons on his high ground plateau, and there's not a lot of tanks in this army, just mostly Goliaths, so I don't think that Royal's going to hold on his own.
I don't even know what I'm looking at right now. Why are there so many Dragoons? There's no Zealots at all. This is like some sort of like AI playing this game or something. What is happening? I am absolutely flabbergasted, but I mean, just a few tanks splattering a lot of these. However, the number is just way too high. YSC will absolutely dominate and destroy Royal. I am blown away by how this game has gone, Shun. Like,
yeah, it's kind of crazy.
This needs some like deeper. This needs like a deeper, analysis later on just to figure out what the hell happened.
But this does kind of like prove that point where it's not even about making the most optimal units. It's about just spending your money and just leveraging your advantage against your opponent. And he only survived with a few Dragoons just because he had such a critical mass of them. And you know, sometimes you can just fit that square peg through the circle hole like that, saying GG finally called by Royal. And yeah, the Terran squad were looking pretty crazy, but now that Royal's out of the picture, I feel like Protoss might start to have a bit of a field day if they can also keep the Zerg in check.
I almost want to say that this was like a bugged replay or something. Like, it was so weird.
With the carrier,
what's going on there?
Yeah,
with the carrier just flying in and dying, and then Royal getting beaten by just pure Dragoon with his army as he came across. Like, what even happened? 7 Factory just died to pure Dragoon.
Yeah.
It was so weird.
Honestly, it's pretty crazy. And he also did the carrier switch under the nose of Royal the entire time. Like, there was no moment where Royal didn't understand the game state.
No, Royal had perfect information, and YSC really didn't have that good of information. He never saw the drop until the last moment, right? Did a ton of damage. He didn't transfer his probes quickly to the 4th base. Like, he had that 4th base going, but he didn't, run his main base probes out of the main over to the 4th or anything like that to just preserve some of that economy. But he lost a lot, and the follow-up attack should have done, like, on paper. Let's think about on paper, Shun.
Yeah. On paper,
you've got a Protoss player who's going 3 Stargate carrier on 4 bases. He takes a bunch of damage from a drop, and then 7 Factory comes across the map to hit him. He should die. He should die.
It was
it's so strange.
It was like YSC, like the stars aligned for him, because there was one moment where he was patient enough to just allow his 9 o'clock to die and just wait for the carriers to come back across the map to snipe the tanks so that the Dragoons could actually get a good trade. And it was mostly Vulture Goliath there of only like 6 or 7 tanks. And because he was able just to come in and snipe those tanks with those carriers, it completely flipped to the math so heavily in YSC's favor that it didn't matter that he had an inferior army in terms of what unit composition he had. The carrier threat harassing the 3rd base just meant that then he was forced to make pretty much a pure Goliath army and would never ever have the tank count needed to keep those Dragoons at bay from that point onwards.
Well, my life has just been turned upside down, guys. Let's jump into the next game. Hopefully things start to make sense once again. YSC is going to be going up against either Queen or Jaedong. That's coming up right after this.
Wild shit.
Hell?
Yeah, man.
What the hell?
Starcraft is a crazy game.
I want to just look at that for a
What's
second.
even funnier is that it looked like YSC was trying to throw the game after like not like he wasn't. It was like he wasn't supposed to win that fight, and he was like, "Oh, I'm going to donate a carrier to make it more fair or something." You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so weird.
And then he still wins like crazy after that.
Yeah.
That's
Just
wild.
I'm trying to process what happened. Like 7 factory.
The upgrades were
Here
actually
comes
Terran
that
favored
attack.
as well.
Pushing out. We've got 8 tanks.
Can we get full screen?
Oh yeah, sure. 8 tanks.
Supplies are even royal favored at the moment.
Yeah, he even sieges up in time. Dragoons just run forward. That's a pretty good split of... He's not dragging any mines or anything. But he's just got barely enough Dragoons and he just runs them over.
Yeah. That's the first table flip in the game.
Yeah.
And
that was the major one.
Well, because of this tank count flip, that there's not enough tanks later on to just splat all the Dragoons and they can just get mowed down by the carriers, and then the fight just gets completely destroyed.
Just basic Terran versus Protoss logic would state that like you should have enough to fight there.
It's that map. It's attacking up into that high ground plateau. And that awkward angle just makes Dragoon so cost effective. There's like already like a natural L-shaped concave set up for you in the geometry of the map. And like, yeah, the Terran just, unfortunately, like, they have to go pretty deep before they can siege, and they get fucked sometimes.
So I guess we just learned that pure Dragoon is the best against Terran. Like, you don't actually need Zealot. They just get in the way.
Well, it's almost
they get in the way of the Dragoons. They reduce the DPS of the Dragoons too much.
But because Royal was so aware of the game state, he didn't make much besides tank and Goliaths at that phase of the game. Even though that was the optimal unit choice, it actually hurt him in the trades. Because if he had made a few more vultures and been less optimized against the carriers, he wouldn't have lost those fights against the Dragoons so heavily initially, wouldn't have had his tank counts reset so heavily, and then he would have had a bigger army to support with Goliaths later to fend off the Dragoon carrier combo. But yeah,
I guess so.
He was trying to play too optimized, and YSC didn't mind being suboptimal, and that's what favored YSC, because he was comfortable not being optimal.
It's wild. All right, let's get into this next one.
Yeah.
God. Well, here we are out in the woods. We're lost. Lost at sea. We got no navigation.
Rudderless.
No compass. Hopefully Jaedong's gonna pull us back onto track. YSC just... We actually went back and took a look at that game, and I still can't make heads or tails of it. YSC just making donations left and right, and Royal's still not able to come out on top after dominating all these other players. It's really wild to even think about, right? Like, YSC is technically like an A-level, A-tier player, whereas everybody else is S.
I mean,
or S plus tier.
And even donated a carrier for free after losing so much damage to the drops. It's pretty wild to think about. And Terran players do genuinely dislike that map. Maybe for that reason, attacking up into that high ground can be so difficult when you're launching your attacks, and just getting overwhelmed by those Dragoons like that. It's really rough to see. Tough nut to swallow here for the Terran squad. But finally, we got a blood across the board here. A bit of a reset. One player from each team has been eliminated. Let's see what the Donger can bring to the table, and see if he can take the wind out of this little Protoss sails.
YSC spawning cross map. Gonna open with a gateway first. Start to put on a little bit of Zealot pressure. Might do him well here with Jaedong opening with the 11 hatchery. But it is cross map, of course, so the Zealot will be a little slower. The probe is not going to find him right away. It is a small map. Retro, of course. It'll get there in time, I think, just as the lings are popping out. He will be able to get the Zealot behind the natural mineral patches, but probably not here into the main base.
Yeah. And it does kind of favor Jaedong that it's cross-map by going for this hatchery first, because it makes it just a little bit harder for the Zealot to get that drone kill to negate the timing of this build. As long as Jaedong doesn't lose a single drone to this Zealot pressure, he's going to be feeling a nice little advantage there. But if the drone was to die from the Zealot pressure, then you might as well have gone over pool, basically, is the mathematics on that. But with the cross-map positioning, the Zealot's got the advantage of not being necessarily scouted, although I think this Overlord is just barely going to spot it coming up to this third base location. So Jaedong's now aware of the Zealot and the timing of that coming up here to 12. So maybe some damage can be done to this, but there's no way he's going to get the kill on this. He's going to have to, like, eventually run back behind the minerals and try and get some trades there. But he wants to try and force the Lings to come over here and put a lot of damage down onto this hatchery before it's the time to finish.
Yeah, just the one Zealot will keep the HP at the same level as it continues to build. Takes a little damage on that drone. Gotta be careful. Could have gotten the moving shot with that probe, and then the drone would be sacrificed. You would have that trade, what you were saying earlier. With just one drone going down, it's going to even out the overall build choices, but Jaedong's going to get his Lings over here. With 2 Zealots, you can actually kill the hatchery. Slowly but surely, it will diminish in HP. You actually do have to get over here and stop that from happening. Jaedong going to wait until he's got the appropriate number of Lings to dive on top of that. But YSC just going to fall back behind those mineral patches. Be as annoying as possible while sending more Zealots out on the map here.
Yeah, but he has really heavily delayed making a forge. So if Jaedong wanted to, then he could put a lot of pressure on here and do some damage with a big Ling flood. But it's going to take him some time for this Overlord to even confirm that that's been the choice of tech here. He sees the core in the wall now with this Overlord, and he doesn't know if there's a forge in the main yet or not. He hasn't even started that forge in his main base, so it's going to be a very aggressive build out of YSC, not relying on any cannons. So it's a little bit of a gamble from him.
This gamble could end up really biting him in the butt here with Jaedong starting his Hydralisk Den, and he will begin Hydra production very soon. Only one drone mining over at the third could be a tell for YSC that some aggression is coming, but you know, he's not going to want to mine over here anyway with the Zealots behind the mineral patches. It's a little bit dangerous, so you know, there could be a bit of a mind game playing out right now.
Yeah.
Pretty soon, though, Jaedong's going to start to pop out Hydras, and you can't hide it for very long with the Zealots sitting back here and watching everything that pops out of the hatch.
Yeah, now YSC has moved out with these Zealots, and as for all Jaedong knows, these Zealots are being committed out onto the map to attack. He doesn't know for sure until they've just started to run back now that they aren't being committed out onto the map, but Jaedong's just going to reveal these Hydras anyway and not be afraid to show him the build and try and clean up these Zealots very cost efficiently before launching his assault. And this actually might still work out well for Jaedong because of how slow the Forge is. Now YSC is going to have to throw down at least 3 cannons, and Jaedong could just fake this Hydra bust. He doesn't actually have to commit to this. He could just make a few, pressure the wall here, and start to transition into a much more standard game after the fact.
That looks to be the path Jaedong is preparing to walk. More drones popping out of the main base and likely to start adding on more hatcheries in just another few moments. The Hydra number is not super high. A couple of Lings staying back at home. A really prudent decision here for Jaedong, making sure that if there were a few Zealots out on the map, that they couldn't suddenly run in and just kill that third hatchery, that third base, because it is quite low. So he's really acting very cautiously here. Even though he's going for this aggressive play, he's making sure that he has room to take this into a late game, that he's not going to be forced to all in here.
Yeah, and of course they're going to be coming in here and confirming that it is just a fake Hydra bust, sees the drones at the third base and knows that at the very least this is a 4-hatch Hydra, and he's going to be alright for another minute or so. So no additional cannons or defenses will be made. Instead, both players going to be transitioning into a much more standard mid-game setup. 5th hatchery already being added for Jaedong, and he wants to put the pressure on with these Zealots to try and deny this gateway being sniped by the ranged Hydras as well. Does force Jaedong to micro, but without the speed kicking in for another minute or so, eventually he will be able to whittle down these Zealots and maybe get the kill on that gateway.
Doing a great job there, Jaedong, targeting down individual Zealots, making that trade a little bit worse. You see the Zealots come out, he targets down one Zealot and tries to get it.
Yeah.
Going to target down another low HP Zealot. He gets both of those, and he's just whittling this down very quickly. If you just run backwards and just you know, A-click next to the Zealots, you'll never get the kills on many of these. But he's managed to pick off a load of the Zealots, and even though he's not going to get the wall, it seems, I still favor this for Jaedong. Like, he's killed so many Zealots with just good micro, and the army's going to be much, much weaker for YSC when he finally decides to come out with that +1 in legs upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, YSC like saved his production cycles a little bit there. He can produce an additional zealot each cycle now, but at the cost of many of his initial zealots. So the initial timings will be much weaker, and his follow-up timings will be stronger. But that means that Jaedong's going to get away with murder for like a good minute or two here, because there's not going to be a strong timing that YSC can execute anymore.
YSC coming out here, but it's looking like a pretty weak attack. The fangs have been removed from the mouth of this Protoss beast. Is pushing out here, trying to take this little engagement, but a few Lings are going to be assisting these Hydras and pushing everything back, and as that Hydraless number swells, we should see this Zealot attack get shut down. It all comes to the micro from Jaedong, and so far it's looked very, very good. Look at that split.
Wow.
Very, very well done.
Right, he's being so annoying with such few units, which is great to see, because this is exactly what you need to do as Zerg to really flip the script on the Protoss player, because usually the Zerg have complete dominance in the early game, and in the mid game the Protoss become alive. But if you do these kinds of shenanigans to run rings around the Protoss player, it can be very hard for them to find their footing in that mid game, and this is the point where they're going to be going up into like 5 to 8 gateways and thinking about taking their third base. So any annoyance you can do to the Protoss player is a pretty big deal at this junction.
Adding a few Hydras in the top right-hand corner. Very sneaky stuff there. Jaedong keeping those 2 units alive. We'll be able to bring them to bear a little bit later on. Looks like we've got some sort of flying unit heading up. Okay, I think that's a Corsair moving over towards the third base of Jaedong, and he's moving his Hydras up towards the front. At 9 minutes, we should have Storm. And there it is. That's going to deter Jaedong from pushing in any farther, but he can absolutely take this fight with Zealots if no storms are forthcoming.
Yeah, I mean, those High Templars were very deep into the defensive pocket of YSC, far too far away to come out and help those Zealots. But that's a beautiful storm there. Does catch quite a few of those Hydras, only getting 2 confirmed kills, but the third base is being delayed with this soft contained setup at the moment, and the Zealot Templar is not that much of a threat as long as you're paying attention and you keep dodging back from the storms and microing against the Zealots. Eventually you will win those skirmishes, but you do have to be microing constantly, and with the Zealots being whittled down to a nub like this, there's not going to be any timing for YSC to come out here and take favorable trades unless Jaedong makes some big mistakes and like loses all of his Hydras to a storm here or there. Even a Dark Archon being made, he's worried about the potential of Jaedong doing a Mutalisk switch here and suddenly catching with his pants down with like 10 Mutalisks just swooping in and sniping all the Templars, but that means there's even fewer units being made to deal with this huge Hydra threat.
Yeah, the Corsair did get in there to the third base and saw the Spire, so really important information from YSC, but it might be a misdirect from Jaedong, just making Lurkers now up here on the high ground. That's so annoying to deal with. YSC is going to have to push uphill against Lurkers with Observers and Zealots. I mean, just a couple of Observer snipes will slow down this third base take for YSC by a long time, and Jaedong's already getting his 4th. He's got double upgrades rolling. He's got Lurkers popping out all over the place. His economy is looking fantastic, and he's actually just surpassed the supply of YSC. So everything looking fantastic for Jaedong right now.
Yeah, these high ground natural third expansions are like double-edged swords. They're both easy to defend but hard to take, and if you can just sort of like soft contain your opponent and have a few lurkers on the high ground, it's just so cost efficient and can delay your opponent for so long from taking their own expansion. Like we see Jaedong here, just able to keep the Protoss contained on 2 bases while going all the way up into 4. He could even maybe consider doing like some lurker drop tactics as well, dropping a few lurkers into the mineral lines of YSC here, while also distracting him, trying to take these expansions. YSC is desperate to come up here, laying down some Sonic Storms onto these Lurker Hydra positions to try and deal with these as cost efficiently as possible. Is losing a lot of the HP and lives of these Zealots to do so. Now the wraparound attack, pincer maneuver coming from both sides. Most of the energy is dried up from these High Templar units. They can't afford to store. Maelstrom Storm comes out to buy some time. There's a Storm available in just a few seconds here on these High Templars on the high ground, so just barely holding on is YSC right now. More Hydra streaming in from the low ground on the left-hand side, but now the Storms are starting to come online on those High Templars, so YSC should be able to hold these positions for the time being. I think he's just barely going to get this third online, but at what cost, then?
YSC wiping a bead of sweat off of his brow right now. That was close call for him. Holding that high ground base was not a sure thing. Really close moment there as Jaedong jumped on top of that last Templar. He got the Maelstrom down on every Hydra, and I think that's what clutched it out there. He managed to buy enough time for the extra Storm. Does end up dying in the end, though. That Templar finished off trying to get greedy with a little Storm on those idle Hydras, but Jaedong is everywhere right now. He's got eyes in the back of his head, and they're all staring directly at the units of YSC. He is paying attention all over the place and eking out every little advantage that he can.
Yeah, he's going to be setting himself up into one big giant eye of Sauron to just descend upon him from all locations on the map. Jaedong's going to be thinking about setting up more and more bases in the time being as well. And now that we see this third base coming online, we'll finally see Jaedong start to go into that hive tech. He was happy to stay on Battle Zerg for the time being. If you can kill the Protoss player or prevent him from taking their third base, you don't need to even tech into hive. But once they get that third base online, you can start to think about your hive tech, even if it is a little bit late, and start to advance towards Plague, 3/3 upgrades, and eventually getting back into more and more expansions. But even just 4 base Zerg going into hive tech right now is adequate enough production for Jaedong to get a total of about 10 hatcheries online and have more than enough production to deal with anything that YSC can field right now. Even the supplies are quite indicative of that. 2-1 upgrades on these Protoss units, but Jaedong's only behind like 20 or so supplies, so if he can just buy a few more moments of time here to swell up his army a little bit more, he's going to be able to just completely gobble up this army of YSC. He's going to have perfect Storms, and this is a massive critical mass of Dragoons that he has been able to field those, so if he can maintain this Dragoon count and skirmish cost efficiently here with Jaedong, there is hope for this Protoss player, Sam.
Jaedong begrudgingly backing up into a concave position over at his natural. His third and his fourth are all heavily defended. He's waiting for those extra layers of tech to come online. That hive is going to be coming out soon. We've got Ling upgrades on the way as well. Hydra's pushing back this Dragoon Force as it tries to cross the bridge. This is just textbook play for ZVP on this map. Retro. This is exactly the style of game we've seen time and time again. But with Jaedong having a good early game position, this mid game is looking incredibly strong. He just needs to hold on a little bit longer against the critical mass of Dragoons until he has Defiler out. He's going to be counterattacking, picking off bases like this and looking for High Templar snipes to just lower the efficiency of that army.
Yeah, and he can also just like make eggs and be annoying on these ramps to cover his retreat and make it even more difficult to attack up into these positions, and basically buy a few precious moments of time is all that Jaedong needs here for this tech to finally come online. Adrenal glands on those Zerglings, more melee upgrades, more Carapace upgrades, a few more lurkers being churned out, and eventually like that Plague coming relevant with Dark Swarm as well to shut down any hope of these Dragoons from laying siege to these positions. It's going to be an absolute nightmare for YSC in the coming moments of this game if he can't find any weaknesses in the carapace of Jaedong here.
I gotta say, YSC is just not finding anything, and Jaedong is playing an excellent defensive game.
Yeah,
he's got everything set up perfectly at each of these bases, and every time YSC tries to come forward, he looks completely impotent against the army that Jaedong has put together. Look at how he's trying to shove through this area. Even when he's just, ramming it down the throat of Jaedong. Jaedong continuing to send reinforcements forward and having the right number of lurkers spread just enough to not take critical damage from these storms. Backing away, dodging all the storms as they come out. He's going to come from a flank now, and YSC is in danger of being completely swallowed up. Look at the rallies coming out of all these hatcheries. Jaedong bringing everything together to finish off this Protoss army. This is I mean, a horrible situation for YSC. I'm not sure he's going to tap out right now, but
He might.
I'm sure he's considering it.
Yeah, he's considering it for sure. He can't even get this base get rolling in the bottom left here. I mean, he's not technically dead yet, but the writing is on the wall. The Zergers are ahead in bases. We'll be able to secure more. You've just had your entire army decimated. The Zergers are ahead in supply by 40 right now. He doesn't know about the supplies, but he knows just how far behind he is in the curve of this game. He knows his main and natural. His main base actually mined out already. His natural is soon to follow. He's going to be on like 1.5 base economy, unable to even get this third base online after being mined out. It's going to be absolute ruins for YSC. So yeah, I think it's just going to be a few trades away from him tapping out in this game, saying it's going to be very soon by the looks of it.
YSC gonna make a move over here to the top right. There's not even a drone up on this high ground yet, but Jaedong just holding that position, making sure that YSC is frustrated at every turn. He cannot make any progress anywhere. He finally gets up this ramp, but there's a big counterattack heading towards 6 o'clock. I'm not sure that YSC has the storm available to deal with this. He's just going to dive right on top of that. He gets the storms immediately, but we've got a Defiler plus so many units coming up this ramp.
Yeah.
I mean, this is over. He can't hold this third base, and the fourth, I mean, it's just one more push away for Jaedong. He still has Defiler. I mean, he hasn't even used the energy here yet. He could throw down a Plague, he could throw down a Dark Swarm. He's going to throw down a Dark Swarm on the high ground. There's no way that YSC is going to push that back.
Yeah, I mean, right now his natural's being mined out as well. Like, he's basically not even mining at this point. He's going to be long distance mining until the 3 o'clock finishes up. Then he's back to one base economy. So Jaedong can just rally across units across the map. And even if he trades at like a 20 to 30% efficiency, he'll eventually still win as well. So Jaedong doesn't have to really do a lot to win this game. He, if anything, I don't think that Jaedong could possibly lose this game unless he like went AFK at this point, like, or maybe like he gets Donnie Darkoed and like a jet engine falls on his head or something, you know.
We saw miracles happen in that last game versus Royal, but if YSC wins this one, I'll eat my own foot. This is impossible.
Yeah, this is rough, man.
At this point.
I mean, he has to like not borrow his lurkers and let them all get stormed and not even attack move in his army and stuff. Like, there's just no way at this point. Even just any kind of efficient trading here from Jaedong will spell disaster for YSC. He's not even mining right now, guys. His third base isn't even finished.
Yeah, he's not mining. All of his probes are going to be sent over to the center right, and if Jaedong gets in there with a lurker drop or something like that, can you imagine the pandemonium that would occur? Like 70 probes right now on one base.
Yeah,
that would be insanity. Here comes that force of Jaedong just slowly pushing forward here. He doesn't want to get too cost inefficient. Another Plague goes down on a bunch more of these zealots. He's just making this Protoss army so much more tasty to devour, and Lings are going to come forward to do that devouring here very, very shortly.
Yeah, you need to have a little bit of chili sauce in your kebab to help wash it down, saying it does make it go down a treat and makes it all the more tasty. Can't fault Jaedong for that choice at all. GG finally called from YSC, and now we're going to have Jaedong going up against either JYJ or Barracks, and I have to say, like, that's going to be a good TVZ.
Cool. LG is the sponsor right now.
Now, how much you want to bet they put out JYJ? Because Barracks would be too scared of winning against Jaedong and then having to play against Snow.
Oh, they put out Barracks.
Okay. Well, I hope Barracks wins and then Snow abuses him.
Snow's gonna give him the clapper.
Yeah, right. It's gonna take him.
Gonna clap his cheeks.
Clap City, man.
Oh, okay, 1 second here. Let me see. I'm gonna try and just put this together.
What's your predictions, though, Sam? Do you think Barracks or Jadon will win?
Do I think what, sorry?
Do you think Barracks or Jadon will win?
I think Barracks can probably take him.
I think so. Barracks has really sharp TVZ timings, and he's really good with his bio control. I mean, the guy's record speaks for itself. You don't get 70% in Pro League TVZ without being pretty exceptional.
Right.
The only reason that Barracks isn't like a crazy top contender is because his TVP sucks so much. He's like, all his skill went into TVZ and like nothing went into TVP. Like he's like a 30%er in TVP, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough.
Yeah. He has like...
Oh my gosh, my voice sounds so bad.
Don't worry about it, dude. You care too much. In a way, that's a good thing that you care so much, but don't be self-conscious.
Oh my gosh, it's bad.
It's bad because you've got it so good usually. Usually it's my voice sounding worse because it's your side.
Right. Maybe we need to find like a different like voice application. We need to do like VoIP or something. I don't know.
Well, we could investigate
VoIP or
into...
something.
We can investigate into what would be a better option for what we do, yeah. Find something that has less compression, better bitrate and shit. Yeah. The latency is also a bit of an issue. Like, latency can actually cause over talking because there's the human reaction delay, but then like the actual delay of Discord on top of that can like cause you to like not know exactly when someone's stopping and starting talking. It rarely catches us up, but I've noticed other people when they cast, it happens a lot more because like there's a little tiny bit of delay in Discord as well. Just ping.
Right. What can I do to like make the sound a little bit better?
Put on some dramatic like opera music in the background and then like boost the volume levels and shit. I'm being so...
I wonder if I can like add like modulation or something like that.
Make us sound like AIs. Be funny as fuck if we could get like AI voice modulation to like train it to like know how to modulate your voice to sound like Zerg units. Like you remember how like the Zerg Cerebrits sounded and shit, to like modulate your voice to sound more like that. She sounded like a couple of Zerg Cerebrits cast in a game.
Oh yeah.
Oh my shit. God. Give Tasteless like a Phoenix voice modulator and Artosis like a Jim Raynor voice modulator or some shit. How are we doing in the chat, boys? You drinking whiskey, Dustin?
A second, I'm just gonna listen. You know what? I'll figure it out a little later. I'll take another look at it later. Sorry, I'm obsessing about this.
It's good to be like that because you're your own quality assurance, you know.
Yeah. I am my own quality assurance.
It's good to have high standards, man.
I was thinking about getting actually a new mic, like an XLR mic
Oh yeah.
as well. Yeah, I think I can make it just like even just 2% better. You know what I mean? Would be worth it, I think.
Yeah.
I'll get like I don't know. I was looking at some different mics. I actually tried to order the same mic as I bought for you,
Yeah.
and it got ordered, and then they said it was undeliverable, and it got sent back. Like, what the fuck?
Oh wait, was that the thing that you were having issues with before? When I remember last time you were trying to cast and you had that undeliverable shit. Was that what that package was?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
It might have been, yeah. It was in Japan, and I was like, the fuck? Why didn't it not show up? I should have had a new mic by now.
I don't.
Yeah.
I think. Did you have to reorder it as well, or what did you do?
I'm not in Japan anymore, so I didn't reorder it yet.
Yeah, I think you have to reorder it as well if it's undeliverable. I think that's the only way you can resolve it.
It did give me a refund, so
Yeah,
it's not like yeah.
I think that's their protocol, is to, like, if it's undeliverable, they send it back and then they give you a refund and you have to reorder it. You can't resolve that on order.
But I might change which one I want to get. I was thinking about maybe getting like just going all the way and getting like one of the most professional ones, like what's it called? Shure is like a really famous brand.
Yeah.
Like almost everybody uses it.
Yeah, Shure's pretty good from my knowledge.
Like I think yours sounds great. I think it's definitely better than the one I'm using right now, but I don't know.
Well, mine definitely sounds a lot better on my end. Like I can actually get it sounding like, you know, like actual like radio kind of voice.
Level.
Yeah, it's like really nice. But over Discord, it's a little bit more meh, but still better than nothing.
Yeah, one thing you could do, by the way, is on OBS, because you have like a thing that records my voice, right? You could put filters on my voice as well, so that your viewers in live can hear like a little bit of a filtered voice for me.
On my desktop audio, you mean?
No, like, oh, you're doing desktop audio to record my Discord. Oh. How I do it is I do application audio capture, and then I select your Discord, and then I put filters on it.
Yeah, I haven't set it up to be able to, I'd have to figure out how to set it up that way to be able to do that. I don't know how to do that.
Right. All right. Oh, I've actually got the filters turned off right now. Maybe there was a problem with it. I'm not sure. Okay. All right. Well, let's not worry about it too much right now.
Get into the
as long as I hit the record button. As long as I hit the record button, none of this is relevant.
Yeah, that's the way to think about it, buddy. That's number one priority. Right. Hit the record.
Yeah. That's right. Okay, let's go ahead and watch this.
Just get it.
Barracks is going to be sent out next after YSC was eliminated. Jaedong having a great day here. Honestly, looking fantastic in game number 1, and he's looked great for a few weeks now.
Yeah.
Like he's been doing better and better lately.
Well, I mean, certainly in contrast to his previous performance in the most recent seasons, yeah, I would say so. So it's nice to see him, even though his age does kind of, I guess, hinder you a little bit. Does seem to be able to still hang with the top names here, and I love to see it. To be honest with you, like it's nice to see the Donga back in some kind of condition here to compete. And honestly, though, I feel like this is going to be a Barracks win. Barracks is like 70% in this matchup in Pro League. I think 60+% all games overall ever. Very weak in Terran versus Protoss. So if he does win against Jaedong here, I feel he's going to get absolutely manhandled by Snow afterwards. But I am still feeling like he is going to be able to beat the Donga here.
There's a good chance. that he'll be able to take him down. But Jaedong, ever since I was actually talking about this in some of my replay casts, was when Flash came back, I feel like it might have made Jaedong, like it might have lit a fire back up in his belly, you know, like his old competition is coming back, and you know that could have a real effect. I mean, it sounds funny, it sounds silly, but
it's not silly.
That's not a joke.
Just to give that a bit of context, there was a touching moment in an interview during one of the ASLs that Flash played in most recently, before he had to do his little military stint. Jaedong basically said, Flash is God. And Flash actually like laughed a little bit, but then actually started crying on stage. Like, and so those two players have like a kind of uncharacteristic amount of respect for one another. And yeah, I can only imagine that just Flash being back in the scene is enough for Jaedong to be like, okay, it's time to fucking go.
Right. Yeah, if his old competition's back, maybe he's gonna really start to take it more seriously. We saw him get kind of smashed by Flash in the series between the two of them, and you know, he's been back for a while, so that's got to be a little bit embarrassing as well. Like, you know, I used to be in the finals with you almost every season, OSL, MSL, and now you've had this long break and you're still able to take me down. Like, that's not acceptable. We need to put up a better showing than this. So, Jaedong absolutely capable of putting in the hours if he's properly motivated. We'll just see if he's able to take down an opponent like Barracks, who's been obviously practicing his heart out lately.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't think age is as much of a factor in StarCraft as people once thought. It seems like that the 30-year-olds are still hanging, and there was a little bit of a concern because back in the early days of StarCraft, once you did hit that sort of like 30-plus age limit, it seemed like your ability dropped off quite significantly. But that could just be down to, you know, how your tenacity for the game and, you know, your life moving on and not quite having the same kind of passion to put in those extra hours to really grind. And maybe Jaedong now, with Flash back on the table, does find that, you know, reinvigoration to actually give his A game, and I don't think his age is going to be that much of a hindrance for him. I mean, I still feel like he can bring his A game, and so far he's shown quite a lot of confidence in the most recent weeks of KCM, and I would love to see him put a bit more time into his practice and show us some of those crazy shenanigans he used to do once upon a time.
I've got more to say about this topic, but we've got some lings popping out here for Jaedong. Jaedong is looking like he wants to do maybe a ling attack here, or maybe he's just waiting for Barracks to pull the trigger on like a naked marine attack, or just the 2 racks move out.
Yeah, the 4-minute 50.
Oh no, he's going in. He's going for it. Whoa, this is wild. He's just gonna get in here and try to run past? No, he's not gonna be able to. SCVs are pulled. This is not looking good, dude. Barracks just took a great trade.
Yeah, that's a mistake from Jaedong. He would have been way better off just waiting until this 4-minute 50 timing for the medics to finish out, and then eventually the push coming, and then doing a nice little backstab or wraparound action. But instead tried to force the issue. Yeah, that's definitely a strange misstep there from Jaedong. Maybe he thought he could kill the 1 Marine on top and then would have enough surface area to squeeze through, but he had to kill 2 Marines, and Barracks actually did a very nice little finesse thing of shifting over his Marines ever so slightly to deny the surface area of the Lings from finding any kind of potential of getting there and finding any kind of a trade advantage. So nicely handled by Barracks in the early game, and already has thwarted the shenanigans of old of Jaedong. But he has invested in one comsat early to scan Jaedong. Doesn't really get any information for that besides knowing it's not a complete all-in. But yeah, because he's trying to like hedge his bets and not commit to making 2 comsats too quickly here, he's going to just have to assume it's mutas. And he does assume correctly, but if Jaedong was going for like a 2-hatch lurker here, he would have been punished.
Not going to get punished. Barracks has 4 racks plus 1. So he wasn't even planning to move out at that like 4-minute 50 timing. Jaedong would have just been sitting outside with Lings, but he would have still been better off than just diving in and losing everything. As it stands, Jaedong is at a very low % chance of winning, but there are some finesse moves that can be done. It's just the numbers seriously in favor of Barracks right now, and he's going to add on that second scanner. Eventually, he will get full information of what's going on in Jaedong's base, and Jaedong is not really doing much. He's not building a third. He isn't really trying... Oh, he is building a third, excuse me. He's got the third right over at that center right. So actually, you know what? This is probably the best possible thing that Jaedong can do, is go into Hydralisk Defiler. If you're really far behind, there's no way you're going to be able to play it out in a normal game, but Hydralisk Defiler can give you options to trade a little bit more efficiently and maybe bring this one back.
Yeah, maybe. He may even just try to do like a 3-hatch all-in muter if he feels like the turret positioning is a little bit weak and can be exploited from Barracks. But I don't think that play would be wise against someone of Barracks' caliber. I think he is wisely just going to throw down the Hydralisk Den and try to transition. But yeah, I don't think there's really anything Jaedong can do here but try and, like, you know, try and play standard from a slightly awkward position. And it's kind of what you have to do a lot as Zerg, is just even when you're behind, you kind of do the same strategy but just try and make it work anyway, and it can be a bit frustrating, but some of the best Zergs can still pull it off. Does lose one of his mutalisks for only one Marine though, so already still going Barracks' way for the time being. Jaedong is in a little bit of a frustrating position. If he can somehow get this bio group under control before he rejoins with these naked Marines, then he's going to be okay, but these naked Marines want to join up with this bio group here, and Jaedong I don't think is going to be able to stop this.
He's not going to be able to stop it, and he loses another mutalisk. Barracks is calling the strategy here from Jaedong. He's decided it's going to be a mass mutalisk play, and he's going into a armory to counter that. He will be pumping out some Valkyries. Do we have Hydra Den? Yes, we do. So with the Lurker upgrade coming, if he gets a few Lurkers out in time to deal with this Marine Medic as it pushes across the map, with the assistance of the Valkyries, he might just be able to hold on in time and get himself into a decent enough position where he can play it out long term with Hydralisk Defiler.
Yeah, but I think that there will be a critical timing here for Barracks to really exploit Jaedong, and I think it's going to come down to if Jaedong can maybe snipe one of these Valkyries, or maybe get the Mutaling stab on this bio group before it becomes too strong and out of control. So far, though, has caught this bio force out of position a few times. Not the worst of trades for Jaedong. The supplies are actually still indicative of Jaedong doing reasonably well, but it's a little bit misleading on the supplies, especially with Barracks is happily to cut some of his SCV production here just to squeeze out more rounds of Marines. But it looks like he's going to be going straight into a science facility after just making one or two Valkyries. I don't think he's going to commit into making too many of these. But I think so far Jaedong's doing a good enough job of slowing Barracks down. But honestly, I don't think the Lurker aspect is nearly quick enough. Like, we see these naked Marines already committing to the front. There's no Sunkens here. Lurker aspect isn't even finished. I think it's only just now finished. There's going to be a huge window, about 40 seconds, for a Barracks to exploit.
Yeah, he's going to come in, try to exploit this. However, Lings and Mutas are going to make their way into this natural just barely in time. Looks like he's going to save it. I think the Lurkers might just barely be able to pop out in time. They're still not quite out of these eggs morphing, but the Marines arrive with not much support. Oh my gosh, more Lurkers going to pop out right here. Can he actually kill all of these Marines before losing a bunch of drones? He's going to bring the Mutas up to try and deal with this. This is a very clutch defense from Jaedong. That was so close. Yeah. Every single area that he was about to be broken in, he just barely holds on with only losing a few drones in each spot.
Yeah, literally hanging on by the skin of his teeth there, saying absolutely wild stuff. Like, literally moments away from catastrophic damage being dealt to him by that Marine timing attack from Barracks. He's a very astute Terran versus Zerg player. He knows those tiny little windows to exploit, and that's why he's got such a high win percentage in this game. But so far, Jaedong hanging on by a thread and able to completely dismantle those efforts. He's not out of the woods yet, but he has stabilized for the time being, and some Scourge are now out on the map to try and catch these Valkyries out of position.
Ooh, he's gonna get at least two Valkyries going down immediately is fantastic for him. Getting rid of that anti-air threat. More Scourge are gonna be coming out here soon. That's such a huge investment for Barracks at this point in the game, and he's actually gonna go into drops now too. If those get shut down as well,
right,
we're going to see a very good chance that Jaedong can just dominate in this game.
Now, to be fair, though, there's not a lot of Overlord scouting information in this Southern Threshold. Just these Muta Scourge. If these Muta Scourge actually missed the trajectory of these dropships, is going to be huge. I think he just barely misses it.
Oh, it was so close. That was so close. He's just barely not seeing it here. I think if he just turns a little bit with this army, these mutas are just on the periphery. Can they see it? Oh my god, there they are. He sees it. He sees it, but it's too late. The Marines are going to start to pop out here. The Scourge dive on top. He kills one of the dropships. He's going to kill the other one, but the Marines all get out of these drops, and so many drones are going to die. Oh, dude, this was so close from Jaedong. Just a little bit better on the positioning, and he would have absolutely held this, but as it stands, Barracks got critical damage over in this base. The main base is crushed. The Defiler pops out, but it's too late. GG. Damn, this is a great example of why Zerg versus Terran is such an incredibly hard matchup. Absolute razor's edge of a defense there in the end.
That's why good Terrans are so scary, man. They exploit those little tiny attack windows.
Barracks was giving up his... He was like giving up a lot of his late game potential there. That was scary. Like if he didn't get the job done.
Well, it was Gambit after Gambit, right? Like he's got the Valkyrie, he's got the pre-lurker Gambit, then he's got the Valkyrie Gambit, and even though the Valkyrie's got sniped, then he's got the dropship Gambit. He's like, but he's already planning to do that regardless of what happens in those previous Gambits. So he's like constantly like setting up potential win conditions, so that even if the previous win conditions like don't bear enough fruit, he's got the follow-up as well. Exactly what you need to do as Terran is like create your own opportunities of attack.
You could see Jaedong like checking in between the rallies to see if he could find something flying across the map. You know, is there a science vessel coming? Is there a drop? Yeah, it was so close. If he even just cleans one of those drops, he kills one of those drops before they get in, he could easily hold that.
Mutas,
so tough.
Mutas don't have that great a vision range, though. It is what it is.
Yeah. All right. Keep it going. Ooh, Jaedong gets knocked out there. Really intense gambit by Barracks, but now going into this game against Snow, it's going to be gritting his teeth, just biting down and getting ready for the pain that is Snow's aggressive Protoss play. I mean, he's already experienced it previously in the ASL. I'm sure he's not looking forward to this one.
Yeah, this is what I was saying to you before. When between casts, well, who are they going to send out, JYJ or Barracks? Because if Barracks beats Jaedong, then he's going to have to fight against Snow, and he might feel a little bit of pressure from that, because Snow has, like, in the past completely dismantled him with, like, Reavers with, like, crazy double-digit numbers on their kill counts, completely overwhelming him with control. And it looks like Barracks is just going to take his own gas here, deny the gas steal, but he's going to bite a little bit of a bullet on his Barracks timing, ironically, as a result of trying to secure this gas steal.
Interesting position on that Barracks as well. I mean, it makes sense to have a spot like this. You know, you build the supply depot to the right of the Barracks, then you have that little bit of space to maneuver. You can protect your gas and your mineral line with those Marines. But it's just maybe some new tech here out of some of these Terran players. I've seen this a little bit more frequently lately.
No.
And it's interesting to see those small adjustments and advancements in each of the matchups. I don't know if it'll come into play in this game. I'm not sure if Snow wants to aggress with Zealots. I mean, he's got the gateway out in the front here, which means usually you're going to start to put on that pressure, but it doesn't necessarily mean that he has to. He could just wait for a Dragoon here as well.
Yeah, he also does just give it a little bit of a faster timing on his Dragoons reaching the front as well. Don't necessarily have to commit to the Zealot harassment. Already Barracks has slowed himself down a little bit by, you know, preventing the gas steal, if you think about it like that. So Snow is just saying, okay, well, you swallow that early loss, and I'll just won't even bother trying to pressure you, and we'll just play a normal standard game from this slightly weird opening that you've gone for, and hopefully that slight issue of tech timing from Barracks will be beaten out by Snow, who won't have any slowdown in the early game.
Ooh, great blocking here with this probe. He's going to get the moving shot as well. SCV will end up going down. Nothing that you can do about that there. Barracks, just pure control from Snow, going to take that down. 2 SCVs still in the gas in this main. Is that a mistake, or is he going to go for some sort of tech?
Maybe, yeah. I think this will either be like a vulture drop, because he hasn't made the second factory, which, if he hasn't made the second factory, it kind of makes me think he wants to go for vulture drop here.
Yeah, it's looking like that. First vulture is going to be made. He still has 2 on the gas, so I gotta imagine a starport's about to be built. He will start the CC at least, and the probe here checking at the front. The Dragoon will come forward to confirm in just a moment.
No.
But that doesn't mean he's going to be aware of this. Oh my gosh. Okay, he's going to hop out this direction. That is so interesting. There's not even a Dragoon out in the front just yet, but it's going to be coming soon. So he's going to avoid it completely, try to sneak around the map and get in there, but he's already messed it up once. Can he get it here on the second try? No, not going to happen. Barracks having a hard time getting this vulture to drop over. He's probably practiced this a few times before. He does get it now, finally. Yeah. There we go.
3 is the magic number, Sam. You know what they say? 3rd time's charm. Finally going to be getting that vulture through. For a minute there, I thought I was going to be a caster's curse and that vulture was never going to make its way through, and you kind of jinxed it by saying it was. I was a little bit disappointed in you.
Well, it really didn't matter. Snow didn't even have his goon on the other side of the map, so
yeah.
The front of the, the front of the base wasn't even blocked. Like, he could have just walked out the front. Ferrex, doing an extra little backflip there, unnecessary acrobatics from him, as Snow just plays a completely standard game with a bunch of goons being built, and Barracks starts to aggress out here on the map. What is he going to accomplish with this push? Just 1 tank, a few Marines, and a vulture? I feel like this is that push which is meant to allow you to put mines in front of the Protoss base, but he's already got mines in front of the Protoss base. So what is this going to accomplish?
It might accomplish him losing his forces to the Reaver that's about to pop out, but he has got a small window to exploit. If he can get on top of these 3 Dragoons and not take too many hits on this tank, maybe he can get something done. Has taken quite a lot of damage onto that tank already. Just a few disruption shots will finish that off. Probes also being pulled off the line to target fire the probes before they can be borrowed as well, so not many deep mines available. Another 2 shots on that tank, just 1 more shot from those Dragoons to finish off. Does get the target fire down on that mine as well. A bit of the damage onto these probes with that vulture, finding a couple of kills onto these probes, but not really the kind of damage that he would like to. Does try and get some follow-up kills with those Marines, unable to find anything, and so far this has gone a little bit Snow's way.
Snow's hung on to this natural base beautifully. He almost got that mine close enough to connect with the Dragoon, but barely not going to get the damage that he was looking for. Now back at home, dropping a few turrets to prepare for this return attack, this return aggression with the Reaver, and he's just not got the turrets quite there in time. And Snow is now active with the Reaver in the main base of Barracks. This is the scary moment here where turrets are going to start to go down, and then things are really going to start to spiral out of control for Barracks.
I mean, if Snow's on top of his Reaver control, we could see fireworks here, but I think that Barracks is trying everything in his power to not let that happen. He knows just how badly this can skyrocket out of control. He's had it happen so many times. He's doing everything in his power just to dog this shuttle around with his units and prevent any critical damage being done. So far, so good, but Snow is also taking a 3rd base behind this reasonably on curve, so even if he just does minimal damage here, it's still going to be a little bit Snow favored.
Well, Beck's doing a pretty reasonable job. He's actually getting blocked by an SCV on the ramp right now, not able to get his units into position. Looks like he will finally get that on a mineral command to get out of the way. Oh, was actually trying to repair the tank. There's so much space in this main base for Snow to work with. I feel like he should be getting some damage here, but he just hasn't been able to find any yet. And Barracks has done a great job of pushing this back. Is it really going to be the... Oh, just needs to block. All he needs to do is block. Oh, okay. Duds. pretty good job there. I mean, I thought that the Vulture was going to be able to block that Scarab. As soon as it got out of the way, though, it could have been calamitous, but it ends up dudding in the end.
Yeah. Crisis has been averted for the time being, and yeah, so far this is probably best as we could hope for Barracks. I mean, usually he'd be completely destroyed by the shuttle control of Snow in their compared to their previous games. So this is probably one of the better showings he's had against Snow, and if he can find his footing, maybe he can find his confidence again and start to turn the tide on the psychological warfare that he's currently having to endure from the previous torturous games that he's had to weather against the likes of Snow. And finally, maybe he can get a little bit of heat underneath him to start to melt this snowman that's been haunting his nightmares.
I think just this opener alone is going to be a massive boost to his confidence. No matter what happens in the rest of the game, he knows that he's held the aggression from Snow, the Reaver control, not enough to tear him apart in this game, and he will be able to move forward into the next stages with 4 factories and a reasonable economy to work with. 5 factories, in fact, will be thrown down, and that is a pretty standard play at this point in time, this point in the meta. Very normal to see 5 factory play in order just to take your own 3rd base. And it's Snow that's kind of developed that meta funnily enough, right? He's the one who drove the Terran meta into the position we're in now.
Well, yeah, and unironically, that is the case. This is kind of the counter to the Reaver style. It does prevent the Protoss from slowing you down too much and taking your 3rd base and being able to just shove units down the Protoss's throat. And especially on this map, where it's very difficult to get across these 3 bridges leading into the center of the map, you need to have a lot of units at your disposal just to take that 3rd base safely and put some pressure onto the Protoss player so he can't just, expand too greedily as well behind it.
That annoying Reaver here at the front is going to force the first siege up from Barracks, only inches in front of his bunker. He's going to slowly slide his way forward here. That's a pretty good siege, getting some space for himself and covering the bridges. Does need to be very careful, though, as he comes forward. Snow's going to be looking for any opportunity to snipe tanks and Goliaths as they push out. There's only 3 Goliaths here, which is a little bit worrisome. Generally, the acceptable number is 4.
Yeah.
That'll allow you to 2-shot those shuttles. He's even going to lose one now, so down to just 2 total Goliaths, which makes this defense a little bit harder. His tanks are also very stacked up right now, which makes me a little bit worried for Barracks, although he has pushed this out reasonably well and will be able to take his 3rd base.
Yeah, luckily he's got no Zealot bombs or anything like that to worry about, or storms just yet, so the clumped up tanks will be okay for a few minutes here, and then eventually he'll want to avoid doing that too much. But now can be taking this 3rd base relatively undeterred from Snow. He may attempt to be a little bit annoying on this left-hand flank with the Dragoons here. But the main issue is going to be, can Barracks get across these bridges without too much damage being done to him? Because if he can start to find some way of coming out onto the map, he can slow down this economic growth of Snow, which he's trying to set up this base in the bottom left right now. Does get the Observer snipe after that Vulture pressure on the left-hand side. Denying any kind of vision from Snow is going to be critical here. If Snow is unknowing of some of the army movements of Barracks, he could get into some good positions here. So far, he's getting across the bridges with pretty much nothing in his way, but I think Snow wants to try and gobble up some of this army right here, right now, with a big flood of Speed Zealots as soon as he comes across the bridge completely.
Inching across the bridges here. Most of the tanks are still on the other side, so I think this could be a good trade for Barracks. We'll just have to see how the Templar and Storms land. So far, they've done very, very well. And Snow not going to aggress here any further. I love the decision-making from Snow to just pull back the moment that the tanks are pushed back to the other side of that bridge and just controlling this space here.
No.
Excellent decision-making, excellent play from him. He takes a few tanks and just backs up without losing any Dragoons.
I feel like Snow is going to go for a very methodical, tentative win in this game. He's going to, just secure his 4th base and slowly go into pure Gateway Man style. He can take a 5th base from here if he needs to. And I feel like he's slowly but surely going to squeeze Barracks out of this game. I think Barracks is still a bit of a fighting chance. If you can get out onto this map with these vultures, do a run by on the right hand side, get into these at this probe line at the natural third base, maybe something could be said for this. I don't think there's anything defending the probes on the right hand side right now, but the vultures are being a little bit slow in getting down there.
I don't think there's much defending over in the bottom left-hand corner either. Just one cannon in bottom right. It's a shame that Barracks isn't actually charging over there to deal some damage. And Snow, it feels like, is completely unafraid of Barracks doing so. Is not even reacting to those units being on the right-hand side of the map. He's just tracking the main army of tanks and not even concerning himself with this small raiding force of vultures, which could have done massive damage.
Yeah, it's a bit of a missed opportunity there. I mean, on the one hand, like, Barracks' core is just not to throw away his vultures, because if he does lose them, then he'll lose the follow-up trades with Snow not having enough vultures to soak up those zealots. But he's also missed some critical damage windows of coming back in this game and mitigating some of the lead that Snow's been able to secure for himself. He is slowing down the timing of this base being thrown down, but it's not a lot. If you can get the Templar snipes here before Storm's thrown down, that's a pretty good trade. Now Dragoons are also boxed in, so laying down some mines will maybe get a few additional further up damage onto those. So reasonable trades and skirmishes there from Barracks, but it's a little bit too little too late for the time being, because I feel like Snow's going to start to explode in a big way soon.
Snow is getting very, very big, hitting that 200 supply. I don't think he can charge across these bridges, though, necessarily, to trade this army, which he'd like to do. But he will be able to start growing a very large bank. And if Barracks pushes across right now, I think that would be just a beautiful gift for Snow, who right at this moment, maxing out, would love to trade armies.
Yeah, he's basically just going to wait for Barracks to try and push down to take this fourth base location, and then start to force trades and remax out with his superior economy, while also expanding in the top right bases as well. And that's going to be the checkmate move if Barracks can't secure this base on the left-hand side. And Snow's just waiting for him to try and push down and take it, so he can now do a little backstab action, get these 3 tanks that are clumped up, a Storm, skirmish with that, pull back, and now he can start to try and see if he can come and shut this attack down on the left-hand side. Now the tanks are further down on this left-hand flank. It does open up the positions and more vectors of attack available to Snow, although there is quite a sizable amount of tanks in this back line here. So maybe he had to get some good trades here. Pretty good target firing on those tanks as well, shutting down the Dragoons in the best line of fire. So warding away any hopes of Snow coming into this position. Going to be reshuffling his tanks forward as well, and shoving more units down this left-hand side to try and say no to Snow in any hopes that coming in here. But I think Snow's got enough that he can come in here again in just a moment.
Yeah, there was a great snipe on the earlier shuttle, but this time the shuttle's going to be able to drop all of the Templar. The storms are insane. This is so much damage from the storm, just that psionic storm dealing with this entire army, clutching out the fight. The Dragoons and Zealots are just here for the cleanup, as this fight is already basically won at this point. Only 2 tanks still remain. The rallies of vultures and tanks coming up might actually barely hold now, but we've just got so much production behind this, and the tank count has been majority reset.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit hard nut for Barracks to swallow here, in the sense that Snow's not even really relying on his Reaver harassment to win this game. It's just a nice straight up, solid textbook gateway man style that's doing the job right now, and has really slowed Barracks down. Now we got these additional bases for Snow coming online, and we still don't have any mining critically at this 4th base location, and Snow's still putting on the pressure, unloading more Zealots in the front while trying to get storms off on these units. Barracks is doing everything he can to try and get this mining base up online, but he's unable to do so. Currently just 110 supply to Snow at 160 right now. He hasn't got enough to fight off a maxed out Protoss army anymore, so Snow just keeps remaxing and throwing army at the wall and seeing what sticks. Eventually he's going to splatter all over Barracks' army, and I don't think there's going to be enough gas in the tank for Barracks to continue this game much longer.
Now with a 3 base advantage over Snow, or over Barracks, Snow is dominating with his massive supply. Breaking through is just a matter of time. He's looking for some damage over on this right-hand side, Barracks is, and maybe looking to create a bit of a distraction for Snow to deal with while this push comes across the bridges. Oh my goodness, again with the storms here. Annihilating 4 more tanks, basically for free, just energy spent for tons of gas and minerals here on the Terran side of things. Gonna get forward and deal one last storm to these tanks. Just so much damage out of these energy units. It's so frustrating to play as Terran in this type of circumstance. You're running out of minerals slowly but surely. Every single trade you try to take, just getting absolutely annihilated by just Storm. He doesn't even have a lot of upgrades. Like, he's barely spent money on upgrades this game. We're 1-1 for Barracks.
Yeah.
He's only focused on army supply this whole game to try and get this 4th base online. That was his entire goal, was just 1-1, get as many units as I can so that I can hold that 4th base, and he hasn't even been able to do that.
Yeah, he should be finishing up his +3 weapons in a normal game right now. Instead, he's just finishing up his +2 weapons in a moment here. So he's behind the curve in upgrades and still can't mine at this 4th base critically. It's a nightmare situation for him. He finally has some center board control, but if he's not able to mine this 4th base, it doesn't matter. He needs to control the center of the map so he can't get stormed from the low ground and have his workers killed for free. But he can't do both. He can't secure his 4th base and keep the mid under control. So he's kind of like the Roman Empire stretched a little bit too thin right now, saying I think he's about to crumble.
Looking that way, Shun. He's looking for any way back into this game. He's hoping for Snow to throw his army into this massive army containment of mines, turrets, Goliaths, and vultures, but it's not going to happen. Snow is too smart for that. He's not going to just dive in and waste his army into that center of the board. Instead, coming in here and hitting the economy of Barracks, killing off all the SCVs. This was basically everything that Barracks had.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he's mined out in the main. He's almost mined out in the natural. GG is called. A beautiful tactical takedown by Snow. No need to do anything fancy. Doesn't take any risks with his early Reaver. Doesn't deal any damage, but he gets himself into a position that just cannot be broken.
That's a very textbook win from Snow. That must be frustrating to be Barracks, to know that even if you don't take any damage to the crazy Reaver control, he'll still get you in with a straight up game afterwards.
Yeah, he's just that good. He's that good, like, you could die at any point in the game.
And even if you don't die, he'll still kill you with the normal end game.
Yeah.
And it's very textbook decision making from Snow to avoid direct engagements, just constantly run around and hurt the economy of the Terran. It's like really textbook shit.
Mm-hmm.
Very effective.
Hello? What's going on? I'm on mic right now with Shun. I don't know if he can hear you.
No, I can't. Who is that, Snow?
No, this is my cousin. My cousin's here.
Oh, okay.
He's 11 years old. He's a big fan of Broodwar.
Nice. It's the best game to support, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for the sub, by the
So
way.
he's just gonna. Are you just gonna sit and watch? Okay, he's just gonna sit and watch. I'm gonna turn on the TV so he can see.
Okay.
All right. Can I hear you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
All right. It's good. It's good. All right. All right. I don't think he's going to be able to hear anything. You can't hear anything, but you should be able to see. All right. Queen going to be sent out here. Final Zerg player of the night. Troy. Cross map position. Snow versus Queen. What a treat, honestly.
Yeah.
This should be a really fun and interesting matchup.
Yeah, and JYJ waiting in the wings to fight the winner of this game. So I think we've been kind of spoiled for choice this evening, and I love the fact that it's been a little bit back and forth. It has been a little bit strange in the previous seasons, where like you'd have one or two teams get completely decimated, but it has been very tempo swingy in this season and kind of hard to call. And I'm all about it, saying I love the kind of dynamic we're getting here in this season of KCM.
Like Snow is trying to get the scout on as quickly as possible. Maybe thinking about going for a Nexus first. He checked center left to see if there was an Overlord in that position. And now he's going to check top right. And he should be able to see the Overlord as it comes in towards that natural. I think he's going to be able to get this Nexus first down, or 12 Nexus down. For free. No, he drops a Forge. Okay, so since he wasn't able to scout here, he's got to be careful. Not going to drop that. But he could have gotten away with it here, cross map and this later pool.
And this was a 9-hatch from Queen. You don't usually see 9-hatch very often. It's very strong against Gateway first, because you can basically pop out 8 Lings when the Zealot is like running into your base kind of thing. But not so strong against the Forge opener here. But Queen didn't want to deal with any kind of shenanigans from like having his hatchery being blocked, and he wanted to go to hatchery first. And yeah, so a little bit of a strange opening here from Queen, but I don't think it will necessarily dictate the game entirely here. But I do feel like this is slightly Snow favored, going for the Forge first against a 9-hatch.
Absolutely, the 9-hatch is great against Gateway first. It can be very strong against 2 Gateway as well, which is really strong on this map. And someone like Best, if he was playing right now, might be tempted to do a build like that, but I don't really remember Snow ever doing 2 Gateway in the middle of the map or at his natural.
Yeah, I don't think he's the kind of guy to go for 2 gate, so a little bit of a risk here from Queen, and it's not going to pay off. And as long as he doesn't... There is 8 Lings on the way, so he needs to pull like at least 3 probes here to not just straight up die. There's only 1 cannon that's going to be finished up, so he needs to have a few additional probes here to wall this off, and he's pulling that now. You need at least 3 to at the bare minimum, but ideally you actually want like 5.
He's going to go bare minimum right now. 3 probes are being pulled. Oh, he's going to target this down really, really quickly. Good blocking so far from Snow, but he doesn't stop in between the 2 cannons, and he will get through into the main base. A cancel on the cannon in the natural, so he cancels the second cannon. He may end up starting one in the main base instead, but these Lings could do a ton of damage regardless of that cannon getting started here or not. Going after the probe. So far, really good control out of Snow, and he will start that cannon in the main base mineral line. It's just too much potential here for damage from Queen to let that stand. Oh, he loses the cannon. I think that was a cancel, actually.
It was a cancel, yeah. If he didn't get the cancel, if he didn't get the cancel, that would have been worth. But the cancel actually makes this better for Snow, because now there's not going to be many probes going down to those Lings, obviously. So yeah, overall that was a bit of a gamble by Queen. It didn't quite pay off. He was hoping that the cancel didn't go down on the cannon, and he would have cost a lot of money being wasted there. The 150 minerals going down the drain would have been great for him. Instead, he just gets a tiny bit of compensation, just a 25% on that cannon cost, and not really finding the damage that he would like to there, unfortunately. But yeah, there was a bit of a risk from Snow going for the bare minimal 3 probes. He did have a few additional probes on the mineral line, but they were too slow in getting to position. So almost faced a bit of disaster there, but Queen not quite on top of his control.
Yeah, Queen opening with the 9 hatches made the best of a bad situation, but he hasn't noticed these Zealots running across the map, and Lings are way down at the bottom center. I don't even know what they're doing over here. They really need to get up to this top right-hand corner to start to deal with this attack. There's a second cannon coming up. I think he wanted to wait for Ling speed and then do like a Ling all-in, considering that the cannon was cancelled in the main and the natural.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's going to make it happen. Yeah, the probes are here as well. Oh, man, this is a complete shutdown.
Oh, man. This is a complete whack down right now. I think he got one probe there, but that was it. Is getting the Zealots around up here, which is something to show for it, to be fair, but it's not enough compensation. And with the second cannon already made in the natural as well, these further Lings are even less likely to do their job in finding any damage here. So it's a really rough situation from Queen. He's not like out of the game by any metric. He is actually making some decent amounts of drones to come up here and mine, and the hatchery is still alive at the third base, so he has avoided disaster here, but it's definitely a strong edge to Snow going forward.
Yeah, Snow's so on top of everything, man. He knew that there was Lings on the map that Queen wasn't showing and that they were probably going to show up at his natural there to try and make a run by. He handled it perfectly. The second cannon and the probe pull. I mean, how do you beat someone who's this good mechanically and also like theory-wise? He knows exactly what you're doing before you even do it. It's crazy.
I mean, that's basically textbook why Flash is so good, or was so good, and he is looking a little bit like the Protoss Flash as of late. He's not as consistent as Flash was, but he's getting to that level slowly but surely, and he's looking pretty scary. It was once upon a time where he was only good in PvT, and he was a little bit lackluster in PvZ, but the last year or so, he's really stepped up his PvZ game as well, and he's starting to look like that well-rounded, scary phenomenon of a player, much like Flash basically had that title not too long ago, and there's not really anyone that can replace Flash, and Snow has been the only player that's really kind of indicated that maybe that's a possibility with another player.
Ooh, so close.
So far.
feels like Snow is toying with him right there. He's like, easily could have run away to the safety of the cannons, but he's like running back and forth and making it look like maybe the Scourge could engage with the Corsairs here. He sees the second starport. That is huge. The scout, getting that scout is actually super worth it right there for Queen. Snow is not playing a normal game, and it's really important that Queen knows that.
Yeah, now we can invest in making a Spore at least our third base here, maybe even our natural as well. And having a Spore at both bases will, mitigate a lot of the threat from this double Stargate play really coming to fruition. So having that scout off is critical here for Queen. We'll keep his options alive and prevent him from taking... Yeah, he's going to be going for that double Spore option just to make sure he doesn't take crazy amounts of damage to this huge flood of Corsairs. And with the Zealots soaking up the Hydra shots while the Corsairs are ravaging your Overlords as well, you do need a little bit of extra to help buffer against that, and I think this is the wise choice from Queen.
Yeah, you're also gonna need to put out a few extra Hydras than you would regularly, right? Your timing for the defense is going to come quite a bit earlier. The attack is going to come quite a bit earlier, so you have to get a larger number of Hydras out than you regularly would at this timing. Sacrifice some drone production to make sure that you don't take too much damage, and then you're going to have a much better mid and late game. But here we go, that big Corsair number making its way over here to the natural, right where all the Overlords are stacked, but he sees the defensive situation, the setup on the side of Queen, and decides he doesn't want any of it.
Yeah, and Queen shut down the simulators at 12 o'clock, so Snow can't get in there to make his third base like he wants to. Tries to come here into the natural expansion, does find a couple of Overlord kills. Not quite the critical amount he wants. There's the kind of... There's the money shot right there, almost popping that entire pack, just all but one with low HP remaining. And that's a big supply block for Queen to overcome at a critical stage in this game. Can't quite produce any workers or units for quite some time, and that's a lot of mineral invested into nothing but Overlords for now. And yeah, this is looking pretty dire for him. He hasn't got a lot of Overlords up here in the top right to worry about going down to these Corsairs, but the only thing going for him is that Snow's going to have to take this island expansion as his third, which does slow down his curve a little bit.
My god, dude. Everything was going right for Queen. He saw the double Stargate play. He made the Hydras, he made the Spore, and he still lost all those Overlords. SMH, dude, this is just classic Protoss. Is able to find that damage even though everything has been done properly. Queen, I feel for him, man. he is going to have a hard time here getting his drones going and popping out enough Hydras to deal with the follow-up, and Snow can do basically whatever he wants. He's already dropped a probe on the low ground to take this third, and now, I mean, killing the assimilators at 12 is great, but if he's got drop, does it even matter? I mean, it actually helps Snow now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does force you to go. Oh, he might catch his shuttle though. What's going on? What's going on? Why did he let it land?
Going on?
I don't understand that. I think Queen misclicked or something. You only sent 1 Scourge out of 4 to go on that shuttle. There's definitely a misclick or something by Queen, uncharacteristically. Does shut down that Dark Templar. Maybe it was an intentional mistake because he wants him to land the DTs because he wants to kick it. I don't know. That makes no sense though, because you might just try. Makes no sense. Why would you do that? Like, yeah, I think it's just a misclick. I think it's just a pure misclick there from Queen.
I think it might have been that maybe he like shift clicked out 1 Scourge, but then clicked the second, and sent the rest of the Scourge back to go and deal with the Corsairs. But that's the only thing I can think of. A little bit funny, but it doesn't end up resulting in any extra damage on the side of Queen. He's still got a great force of Hydras out on the map. The ground army of Snow is nothing that Queen can't contend with right now. He can absolutely handle it. So Snow kind of has to play this game of keep away right now, where he's going to be flying around, dropping probes and building bases all around the map, and expanding like crazy, while trying to make sure that Queen can't do something like a big Mutalist switch or get a drop into any of his bases with this big pack of Corsairs roaming the map.
Yeah, and this Corsairs, even though it was a big initial investment from Snow here, they will eventually pay dividends as they keep killing more and more Overlords and Scourge over time. That's a lot of lava and gas that's being bled off from Queen as well as time progresses. So these Corsairs are finding more and more value as the game progresses as well. And these Overlords do have to be very careful with their positioning, because while distracted elsewhere on the map, we may see another flood of Overlords just go down, and that could be disastrous for Queen as well. So these Corsairs are going to be a really big, impactful, active threat on the map for Snow while he takes these expansions pretty safely.
I'm pretty surprised that we're taking this space down in the bottom left. I thought we would be taking more island bases for Snow. I think he's going to drop more probes around the map. Yeah, he's going to drop 1 here in the center left. He'll probably come down and drop 1 in the bottom left as well and just take those nexuses. But what is Queen going to come out with here? He's got the Hive on the way. Is he going to go into some sort of weird air army, or are we going to see drops come through? Because drops can get shut down really, really hard.
Yeah.
And he needs something to deal with these islands all around the map.
Well, I think he realizes that nothing is going to happen until he gets Defiler tech. I think he knows that if he does need to drop these bases, he needs Defiler support to even make it cost efficient. So we're not going to see anything happen until that Defiler comes out. He's just going to make triple Evo, tech all the way up to Defilers, and then start to try and do some tactical plays. Just Plague alone will help him come out onto the map and give him some map control, but like you say, he needs drops to actually get shit done. So unfortunately, he's going to have to rely on exceptionally high level control to even get any kind of cost efficiency going. And it does seem very Protoss favored when you're in this sort of like refugee style and you got bases all over the map and Templars and cannons at every base. It does seem very Protoss sided, so I'm not sure if that's going to go very well for Queen, but I do think it's his best bet.
Once you have this much money as the Protoss player, and you're able to just drop a probe and build 5 cannons with 1 probe, it starts to get pretty ridiculous.
Yeah,
one-sided for the Protoss player. I'm not liking that Snow is keeping his his Corsairs spread and losing them. He should be having them all together and just constantly cleaning up Corsairs like this.
Ooh.
But losing these is pretty painful. If he loses all the Corsairs, then the drop becomes so strong. Yeah. Here comes a massive army from Queen at now 154 supply. He can definitely start to take fights out on the map, But can he break any bases? And more importantly, can he break any island bases?
Well, I think killing some of that Corsair fleet is going to be like one of the critical things he needs to mount a comeback. I mean, Snow definitely doesn't want to have to replace those right now. He wants to max out on a very strong Templar Goon Zealot army. He doesn't want to have to replace any of that supply or gas with those Corsairs. So that does open him up to being dropped, like you say, and also prevents any Overlords from being sniped later on. That will prevent any kind of win condition from just being caught off guard from being able to produce units or what have you. So yeah, this is so far so good for Queen. He's looking like he's able to navigate himself into a much more playable game state at the very least, and we'll start to try and take some more additional bases, I imagine, in the coming moments of the game. But I do feel like I really favor Snow's position. It's going to be so hard to get drops rolling in a cost-efficient way to challenge him, unless you can get a really good fight in the center of the map and gobble up most of the Protoss army beforehand.
I think we're going to see Snow build Reavers everywhere. He's going to start building Reavers at each one of these outposts. 10 cannons at each base, 2 Reavers at each base, and what are you even going to do with that? Drop coming through here, but it's just barely out of range of what Snow can see. There it is. He sees it. He sees it. 6 Overlords are making their way over here. Can he actually kill any of these before they connect with the drop? Well, he drops a storm on top of this, kills one of the Overlords before it unloads, but the rest of the Overlords are going to get unloaded, and the cannons will fall very, very quickly. So everything going to go down. This base is likely to fall. A great first drop here from Queen. I did not expect it with the number of Corsairs he had earlier, but he makes it work.
Yeah, this is a great first blood here for Queen to get some damage on the board and prevent Snow from just growing completely out of control. Keeps him in check just barely. He is taking 9 o'clock as well, but shutting down some of the Protoss' mining is going to be huge, especially as the main is now just becoming mined out. The natural will soon be to follow in a few minutes here, so it does kind of keep Snow in check a little bit, but Archons are starting to be mixed into this army. So Zealot, Templar, Archon, Goon, and Reavers is going to be really tough to find any cost efficiency here. We're going to have to rely on Plague quite a lot here for Queen coming forward, but I feel like he's had enough time to grow. He's now maxed out. I feel like he can finally start to challenge Snow out on the field at this critical moment, and this could be the turning of the battle here.
Do we have Plague? There it is. Plague goes down, but it's on the Zealots that are already fighting. So he could end up taking this fight. Well, he does back away. Okay, so the Zealots will take all that damage. Sometimes it's the case where you have the Zealots, they get plagued, and then they come in and get their damage anyway before the plague actually takes effect, because it does take some time to deal the actual damage of Plague. Now, flying into the little pocket base here, the island of Queen, he blocks that base. He stops that base from going down. And so Queen is starting to mine out a little bit.
Yeah.
He's had a very high count of drones in his main and natural for a very long time. And he just barely finally got this base online at 9 o'clock. He has another base. All fairness to him, he has another base over at the top right, that island. But he hasn't saturated it yet. Doesn't have a Nidus over there. And so, yeah, he is going to start to mine out pretty soon here. However, he's coming across the map with a really significant army. Defilers, Dark Swarm. Can Snow stop him before he gets up this high ground? I think he should have Reavers by now. We haven't seen it just yet, but Reavers should be on the cards at this point. With Reaver on high ground, I don't think that Queen can break this.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough, that's for sure. But so far, he is growing just barely quick enough to stay in this game. Is still maxed out. And with the 3 o'clock and the top right island coming along, if he can just saturate that and get those bases churning away, he's going to be looking okay. And tactically, he's doing pretty good. I mean, he's not really finding any bad trades so far. This attack in the bottom left could go pretty bad for him if with some good storms. But so far, Snow hasn't reacted with great storms. There's 1 or 2 good storms there, but Plague going down on those cannons as well to soften out that position. It is very hard to come in here and actually get the job done, but he might just barely have enough left over after the storms to clear up this base, and that would be huge for him. But so far, it's looking like it's just barely not enough. It's so difficult to find those cost-efficient trades, and with shuttles out on the map, Snow can kind of just ferry his units around to set up these defensive pockets again to prevent Queen coming in here and finishing off the job.
Very nice Plague on all these shuttles. They will fall incredibly fast now if We can just get some Hydras underneath them. Reavers are coming out, but they're just walking into some Lurkers at the front of the natural, and looked like this one's going to die. That was probably the most, or the least worthwhile Reaver that Snow's ever produced.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That thing died incredibly fast. It didn't even make a Scarab, I think. It ends up going down. Lurkers still trying to press into this position, but that's way too many Archons, way too many Storms. This is all going to get cleaned up really cost efficiently for Snow.
Yeah, this is the rough thing to deal with as because you do have to sacrifice a lot of your armies just to have a chance at breaking open these positions. But if you sacrifice your army and don't break open the position, you're just behind. So now we see the follow-up attack trying to make the best out of a bad situation to try and overrun this position finally, but not quite able to find that critical damage necessary to do so. There is some additional Lurkers coming down. The Dark Swarm will remain for a little bit longer here. Maybe he can come in there and break open these cannons, but now the Dark Swarm has finally dissipated. He is going to be able to just barely maybe kill these cannons. No, not even finally able to break open the whole position. Does kill the cannons, but still not able to clear up the rest of the units. There are more and more rallied units coming in. Here comes some shuttles as well, ferrying over more units for Snow. It's a very tight hold here for Snow. If you can just get a few more additional units and prevent this base from going down. There's also some Zealots he can keep shuttling over from the other side of the gas wall as well. And with Reaver support here, I feel like this threat is really finally dealt with.
Plague, there it is. Big Plague there. Getting on top of those Reavers. He will hold the base, but this has put a lot of pressure onto Snow, and it's given Queen some time to establish further bases. He still hasn't mined in top right. What are we looking at? Okay, finally getting some workers over there. Very slow on that, though, and again, he's mining out. We're 21 minutes in. That means the main and natural both have no gas, and they're going to mine out of minerals really, really soon. The third is also going to be getting low. So, I mean, he's going to be strapped for cash.
Yeah.
Very, very soon. He needs to get in on some of these bases of Snow while expanding at the same time. He can't just be throwing everything at the wall, not killing the bases, and then not expanding on his own. He has to keep growing here.
Yeah, not only that, but he has to make sure that he doesn't allow the map to become divided in half, because he needs to stay ahead on bases at all times just to be even with Snow. So he will eventually have to secure both 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock from Snow to stay pretty cost efficient on the trades. It's going to be a little bit rough to secure both of those things. There's only 6 mineral fields at those bases as well, so it's not a huge influx of minerals even if he does secure them. It's going to be tough for him to keep this war of attrition going. Right now he's maxed out, but it's tough to find good trades against this army of Protoss, which has such high amounts of splash damage. A big gambit of a drop in the bottom left, though, could be the ticket to come out of this position, but Snow's ready with the High Templars to throw down some Storms and some Reaver support here. It's going to be tough to clean up this base in the bottom left, but he's going to try and attempt it anyway.
The Reavers are the linchpin of the defense right here. Ooh, the probes are really, really stacked. They're all being pulled to that gas geyser, but he manages to keep them alive. The Lurker went down before dealing that final blow, and the probes are now able to stand in front and body block for the cannons, keeping them alive. One more storm is necessary to deal with this last Lurker here. 3-3 is done on all of these Hydras and Lurkers, pushing up towards the natural. Can he actually bust through this position? That's so many units, but the storms are annihilating massive chunks of Zerg. He is going to be able to break this position, but I mean, can he get into the main base and actually clear that up? Snow really doesn't have much here to actually stop this. What happened to his production? He's actually got a huge army on the other side of the map. Looks like he's going to try and attack maybe center right. Yeah. While this is all going down and just abandon the main base.
Well, Queen wisely knows that the Protoss natural is usually the least defended position in the late game scenario, so it's usually actually a weirdly good place to attack, even if it's mined out, because they won't have enough defenses there to protect their infrastructure. So we're going to get on top of the gateway production in the top left. Meanwhile, though, going to be losing some of these bases to the whack-a-mole attempts of Snow. He does have quite a few of these bases set up in the Arden expansions, but a little poor man's recall coming into this third base location in the bottom right. There's a Hydra here and 2 Sunkens to help try and mitigate that, but enough Archons have been dropped to completely dismantle this defensive setup, so we'll be getting the kill on this expansion here as well. So 2 bases going down on Queen's side of things while having his infrastructure ripped out in Snow's main.
This is looking very Snow favored at this point. Oh, we do have a few Scourge here trying to get rid of those shuttles. That would be massive if he could get rid of those transportation units. Would allow Queen to stabilize a little bit quicker because Snow has kind of a marooned force down at the bottom right. I was surprised that he didn't pick that up and drop it into the main base because that main is not well defended. He could pick off a lot of production structures. Instead, he's picked up another group of units. He's brought them over here to try and deal with this base over at the top right. And he's actually going to get a bunch of kills on some of these drones, but in the end, it looks like Queen will hold on to that location, and one of the last mining bases, I mean, it's still going to be alive here for now. The main is completely gone for Snow, though.
Yeah, I think Snow has enough gas in the tank to make this work. He has quite a lot of gateways sprouting up in the bottom left as well, so he still has a lot of production going, but not quite able to spend all his money as he would like to with his main base going down so efficiently. Queen has quite a large army, but is unable to field it right now. He needs to rely on overlords, getting them over these little hiccups in the geometry of the map. So without a huge massive amount of overlords up here, it'd be a little bit difficult and annoying for him to clean up these skirmish units without taking losses from Snow. I feel like overall Queen has a chance of winning this game, honestly, but only because like he killed so much of Snow's infrastructure that it does give a little bit of a breathing window for him to get some of his bases set up again. But he isn't currently mining a lot. Has got a great Aspire as well, so we're going to see Guardians coming down. It's going to be a great tactical play here from Queen. There's not a lot of anti-air besides Storm available to Snow, and if there's not enough Storm and he spreads out these Guardians, they could become a little bit frustrating to deal with.
Yeah, there is an opportunity here. I mean, the Corsairs are all gone, and all the Stargates are dead. They all died in the main base. There's no chance of remaking that air army. So maybe this gambit by Queen could pay off. The thing is, it is a real gambit. He spent a lot of his money, the bank that he's built up, to get all these Guardians out. And if they don't do well, and he's not able to secure more bases, then he could just dry out and die out in this game. Going forward, sniping some Guardians. I love this move with the Guardians, bringing them all together and just trying to one-shot the Templar before they can even get their damage.
Well, I think we're seeing the start of a huge, crazy Queen comeback in this game, saying, like, I feel like hit that critical damage done into the main base, like killing off that much infrastructure and starting to stabilize with these bases. I feel like he just maybe has done it, and this tactical play with the Guardians and the inability to really do anything to counter this besides rely on good storms, I feel like, yeah, there's a lot of life in this game for Queen.
All he needs to do is snipe these shuttles, and I would definitely agree with you. The comeback is real. The shuttles still flying around right now is a huge threat, but since they've been plagued, just a few Hydras getting under them is going to end them so quickly, and then the mobility of Snow will be completely negated. That's so much moving through the middle of the map right now, and this is a very well defended base. It's really one of the only mining bases though for Queen. He's got center right and top right, that island, and that is it. Wow, a lot of Archons moving through the middle of the map, dropping a ton of Templar, and he loses one of the shuttles. That's a big kill for Queen. I think there was like at least 2 Templar inside that. 1 Corsair remains, but it's not going to be able to deal much damage against all of these Guardians, especially with +1 armor.
I hope that Corsair can overclock his neutron flare damage or something, 'cause he's going to be tickling all those Guardians slowly but surely. They do have natural armor, so it does take a long time to kill those. And I feel like he's got some a lot of life in this game, does Queen. I feel like killing this base up here in the top is going to be huge for him as well. Snow's only got these 3 bases churning away, and there's not a lot of saturation left on these as well. Eventually they'll start to become mined out, and if he's unable to secure bases and trade well, some beautiful storms do come down onto this main Zerg force here. It's a very soft glass cannon style army, so with some good storms and positioning, Snow can overcome it. But right now it's looking like Snow has pretty much only utility in his army with the splash damage of these Storms, Reavers, and Archons going for him. One tiny misstep, all it will take for him to lose this game. And I feel like so far Queen has done an absolutely phenomenal job of coming back.
Queen is going to move the Guardians over towards the center left, pressure that base while fighting here in the middle of the map with this army. He loses the Reaver. That is a key pickup for Queen. It's going to allow his mostly Hydra Lurker Ling army to trade much better against the Archon Zealot High Templar fighting force of Snow. Snow bringing forward more Reavers, though. His spirit animal, can he make it work against Queen, who's now harassing this base and shutting down one of the few mining locations of Snow? This is a big fight in the middle of the map. Huge storms getting thrown down everywhere in the backdrop. A lot of probes going down for Snow right now. He's got to pull, I think, the Templar together, bring them over here to start storming down these units. Bet he's really regretting not building more Stargates at this point, as well as, you know, cleaning out these super pesky, annoying Guardians is taking up a lot of his attention and time.
Yeah, even just making one single scout would clean these up so fast with the antimatter missiles. But unfortunately, he's going to have to just deal with this slowly but surely, getting a little bit of his money shut down. He has got a lot in the bank, does Snow, so as long as he doesn't lose this army inefficiently, he should be okay. But the problem is that even after a lot of those storms have dried up, there's a massive flood of Zergs out on the map, so he needs to be tentative with his army and not get caught out of position. He might get a few of those units swallowed up while out of position. He does try and reinforce them with some shuttles and reavers, but probably realizes he has to pick up and evacuate.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's going to get all that whole army just gobbled up there. Nice little pickup for Queen, who's currently ahead in supply, 160 to 140, looking pretty Queen-sided for the time being. Does have a few of these bases popping up as well. Hasn't yet saturated them, but Queen's looking like he's got more life in this game than Snow does.
Snow really needs to take another base. I think the island just outside of the bottom left would be a decent enough position to take, but it's going to be hard to hold that position with so many Guardians and such a huge potential for drops to come through on those bases, and no real anti-air to speak of for Snow, aside from just storms and Archon shots. Like, what else can he use to stop a big drop from coming in and just laying waste to that base? And if he puts all of his forces over there on that location to make sure that it doesn't get killed, what are the chances that his natural here in the bottom left doesn't just die? He needs to wait a little bit longer until that mine's out before taking all the forces out of that position.
Well, I don't think Queen wants to lay siege to any of these bases. I think he just wants to prevent Snow from expanding while trying to saturate his expansion. So I feel like he's just going to soft contain Snow and try and do something about 6 o'clock when that finally tries to go online for Snow. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to challenge that too much, though. I'm wondering how that's going to go. I feel like he's going to try and set up some drop to come into 6 o'clock or this island expansion. He's been monitoring Snow closely on when he's trying to take these bases, and Snow hasn't yet tried to take them until just this moment now, so we may see some drop play coming out of Queen in a few moments.
I don't see any Overlords setting up for a drop just yet, but it looks like Queen wants to take the old expansion of Snow just below his original main base in the top left-hand corner. This could come down to the last mineral patches on the map. That's how close this game is right now. Still 5k in the bank for Snow, so he's in no threat of running out of minerals for quite some time. He's just going to be setting up more and more mining locations, increasing his unit flow, his mineral flow, and that gas is quite low. Such a teched out army here from Snow.
Yeah.
So many Templar in this force. It's kind of the inverse of what you usually see in these late game situations with Protoss versus Zerg. You usually see a ton of gas banked up and very little minerals. And then really late game, then all the gas gets spent on a massive flow of Templar. But Snow's been relentless in just building crazy amounts of Templar all game, and so he has a massive mineral bank, and he's going to be able to continue to build or to mine gas for a really long time, of course, forever. Potentially, right?
I like how he's been really, focusing more on his utility more than anything, rather than just like wasting zealots and what have you. But I also feel like he's missed out on a trick of not getting Dark Archons, because I feel like Dark Archons with feedback would be great in these situations, and trying to snipe the Defilers before the Plagues get activated. And I feel like that'd give him just a little bit higher cost efficiency rating to really put the pressure on Queen. But instead, he's like, I think he's just trying to I don't think he likes that style. You don't see a lot of Protoss players rely on Dark Archons, but it's becoming a new flavor in the meta to do it. But if you're not comfortable in doing it in the early game, I feel like a lot of these players don't utilize the feedback in the late game in these scenarios, and that could be a bit of to their discredit, because I feel like feedback is one of the few ways of staying relevant against plagues.
Yeah, absolutely. Feedback, so powerful in these late game situations. It's a shame that he's not pulling it out here, but there has been so much craziness. It's hard to remember everything that is potentially possible in a map that's just this insane, in a match that's just gone this haywire.
Yeah.
Remembering that, oh yeah, Dark Archons are a thing, that just it might go by the wayside. You might completely forget that that's even possible to do something like that, but maybe we'll see it if this game continues to go on even later. I imagine we could be in for like a 50-minute game here, Shun. It's possible.
It's possible, yeah. I mean, the efficiency is kind of going very stalematey right now, which means both sides will probably not want to press the issue in attacking. So that also might mean that Queen won't want to challenge these expansions that slowly get set up by Snow. Instead, Queen will just saturate his existing expansions and just try and skirmish with plagues and what have you. And yeah, that could see a game being dragged out into a whole hour here potentially, as the map becomes slowly mined out and neither player wants to commit too heavily. Do see quite a sizable force of Lings trying to get some efficiency here, and if he can whittle down the count of Archons enough, we might see a bit of a commitment from Queen to try and get on top of some of these units and force some big trades. So far it's going pretty Snow favored, and these Reavers haven't gone down on the left flank critically, so this is looking a lot more Snow favored as time goes on. I feel like Queen's overstepped his bounds just a little bit. I feel like you need to be a lot more cautious in how you engage the Protoss army.
Oh, 23 kills on this Reaver.
Yeah, that's wild.
I bet there's some Archons in there with some disgusting numbers of kills as well. But Guardians are going to come in and try to break 6 o'clock, see what they can do. Nice snipe on that shuttle. Really critical, getting rid of those transportation units, especially when we're not relying on any air aside from the shuttle in this game.
Yeah.
We're going to have maybe 1 or 2 more storms remaining, but the spread so far has been really, really good.
Now,
from Queen. Now, okay, he's actually killing so much with these storms and dragons. It's kind of wild.
I want to point out to people, it's actually generally cost inefficient to go for Guardians, because it's very hard to split them and spread them out perfectly, and over time you can kill them for free if you consider that energy regen. So you have to be very tactical in how you utilize the Guardians to get like any kind of like good return on the value of that. But there are some windows where it gives you enough of a tempo swing and map control to make them still relevant, even if you're trading cost inefficiently gas-wise with them. So I do like how Queen's utilized them this game without relying on them too heavily, because it does put him back a bit in the cost efficiency rating, but it does give him some small tactical edges to utilize. Like now he's got this 6 o'clock pocket more under control, harder for Snow to expand here, and he is still being active out on the map and hunting down some of Snow's efforts. And I feel like maybe Queen can still win this game. Shutting down some of these shuttles as they're unloading is going to be key. He's still getting even more shuttle kills here, and that's going to make it much harder for Snow to traverse around the map with his army, and any kind of slowdown right now is going to be key in keeping control of this game.
6k minerals in the bank, though. I don't think he's afraid of making some more shuttles. It is going to slow him down, of course, but more shuttles are going to come out very, very soon. More zealots are going to be made, and more drops like this can occur from the side of Snow. Like a small army here. Getting surrounded. Great trade with the Storm, of course, and the Archon being an absolute hero, almost taking out every single Ling there. But the Lings will win the day. Another drop. Could be coming down here towards this bottom center. Another great target would be top left for Queen. If Snow can get on top of that. The money is really low right now for Queen.
Yeah.
I mean, 148 supply, but he's just barely getting an income right now. So he needs to get some more bases online. And if Snow just shuts down a couple more of these bases. Oh, this is a great move. Coming in with mutas. 11 mutas here. Shredding a couple of Reavers. Some people in my games will, in my chat when I'm playing on stream, will suggest this to me. Why don't you just build some mutas and go snipe stuff? It's not very efficient most of the time, but in this case, pretty well done here by Queen.
Yeah, if you've got the APM to have 300 APM and the the attention span to keep up doing that kind of level micro while you're macroing and firing on all cylinders, then yeah, all power to you. It's just very difficult for most people to pull off those kinds of things. Sometimes it can definitely be the thing that you need to tip the edge against Protoss players. It's very difficult for them to min-max everywhere and dot all their I's, cross all their T's at every junction in the game. And looks like he's finally going to make a gambit coming down into the 6 o'clock position. But there's a hefty amount of Lurker Guardian here to make this a little bit tricky for Snow to come in here. And some Scourge also going to be running up here to try and take away some of the ferry potential by sniping those shuttles. Only 2 shuttles remaining, so can only get a handful of units across that time. Eventually, though, he will come in here and break open. But Queen coming from the behind with those Mutas and trying to get some more critical snipes on these High Templars. Pretty good juking and jiving so far. And coming back in here to get around big, beautiful pick up on these High Templars to save most of them from those shuttles, but Snow's still losing a few of those High Templars to those Mutas regardless.
Oh, there's some great storms coming out here by Snow. Good dodges by Queen as well. The Archon's just not able to hit those Mutas at all. Really good dodging here from Queen to just completely negate those, and he will get some more mining online over in top left, and with that mining coming in, I mean, he could absolutely win this game. It's gone back and forth several times, I feel, but I mean, Queen he's in this, man. He's hanging on.
Yeah, he's hanging on. He just needs to get more drones mining. He has got some of these bases set up, but he hasn't got any drones mining at them. If you look at this like top left third base on the island location, it's got only a couple of drones mining over there. It's really rough how low economy Queen is right now, and Snow's got this huge bank, but he doesn't want to risk leveraging it because he'll just get bled out in the war of attrition here. So it's a real nail bite of a game. Good pick off from these Guardians though, sniping some of these High Templars, being really annoying as possible and slowing Snow down at every junction when he gives a little bit of a window to him. But now finally we see Snow committing to the 6 o'clock base. There is a few Guardians here to come up here and challenge this position. If they're too clumped though, they will go down very quickly to these Sonic Storms. So good splitting is needed.
Ooh, some great splitting by Queen. Look at how he's pulling back all of these Guardians, but accidentally bringing a few of them too close together, getting some good cost-efficient trades with these Templar. Another group of Mutas is coming in here. Is this going to be for the snipes? He is going to come in, try to get some snipes on this before the Templar pick off every single Guardian here and break this position. There's like 1 Lurker left, 2 Guardians, and just a few Mutas here diving on top of all of these Templar. As long as he keeps some of these Guardians alive, he should be able to push everything back, but that's a lot of Zealots.
Oh my god, the Archon just barely finished up in time. It's only got a few hit points left remaining on it, though, about 100 in total. Needs to be careful not to get shaved off by the Micro Queen. Being very adamant in his Muta control. Sonic Shockwave, though, does do so much damage to that clump of Mutas, so without good control, those Mutas will bite the dust. Needs to be careful not to lose those inefficiently. Big fleet of shuttles is available now to Snow to come and finally secure this base. We'll have to wait for the creep to dissipate at the very least, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is just enough for Queen to come into this game. He is going to get some good storms down these Mutas here to soften these up, but yeah, I don't know. He will get this expansion online, I feel, but at what cost? The Queen may have just barely stabilized enough. He's got these bases mining again, and yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say for certain. Queen does need to still fight for this base, though. He can't just let Snow have this base for free.
Yeah, this is almost a perfect map split at this point, right? We've even had Snow mine from that base in the top left for quite some time, and now, you know, Queen's mining off of it a little bit. That's the only advantage he's going to have if he allows Snow to take this 6 o'clock. That is it, man. That is the only advantage he's got, and I don't think he's taking good enough trades to win this game after all of that trading.
Well, he's not aware of the bank of Snow, right? He can't know for certain that Snow's got this 5k bank. As for all he knows, it's the same game state, but without this like 5k bank of Snow. So he might feel like he's in a much more even spot than he is, which is going to be unfortunate for him going forward.
Well, Snow is going to come up and maybe get a storm drop going on these drones. They don't have any vision of the high ground. There are Scourge available, but he just has no idea, and he's going to eat a huge amount of damage. Oh, that's so painful. We've only got 25 minerals in the bank.
Yeah.
How are we going to make these drones?
And he only just got those bases saturated as well, so they've not even been mining for very long. So now he's just had that economy completely reset again. Big skirmish with these Guardians trying to get something done at the 6 o'clock base. Only one Dragoon here, relying purely on Storm. Few Lings coming in here as well to do something, I guess. But the main thing is this Guardian skirmish. And I think Snow's just about done it, 'cause he's got more and more units ferried over with these shuttles to secure this 6 o'clock location. Storm will always win on paper against Guardians, because you just can't trade out efficiently enough. Even with perfect splitting, eventually the Templars will trade more efficiently than you. It's just so difficult, but you do have these small windows of advantage you can exploit. So let's see if Queen can get something done here with these dropping of units while the Guardians are raining down.
Yeah, the Guardians are just the preamble to the eventual drop that's going to come through. He's managed to get these unloaded on top of all the Zealots, and he actually looks to be breaking through. He just needs to get on top of these shuttles, man. If he just built a few Scourge and stood in between the two bases and blocked the shuttles from coming here to keep on reinforcing this position, I really feel like Queen could have broken this base. But look, he just keeps bringing more stuff over and over again, and Queen is not stopping him from doing it. There's no Corsairs or anything here that could stop him. But
he can't spend these
minerals. You know what?
He's not got enough gas income. He's only all of his gases are depleted right now, so he's only getting 75 gas per minute from these geysers. So he can't really spot by the right units to do the job. He's got a few goons coming in here to try and snipe. A few of the Guardians going down. Some beautiful phase disruption snipes from these Dragoons. Does snipe 4 of the Guardians. Tries to get the remaining 2. This is a beautiful play from Snow to come near the Guardians to try and clean up this while he can. There's more units from Queen coming in to try and secure his location. Though this Nexus might still fall regardless. He has killed the majority of those Guardians, but yeah, Snow's having a little bit of a hard time spending these resources effectively because he's not got enough gas income right now. He's only got about 225 gas a minute to spend.
Oh my god, he's gonna try and dive on top of this base as well. Queen not happy with just defeating Snow in the 6 o'clock and taking that base for himself. He wants to attack in, and GG is called. Wow!
Absolutely
Snow
insane.
taps out. Oh my goodness.
Crazy.
What a game. Incredible. Fantastic game there between these two. That is more than I ever could have expected. You know, at the beginning of the cast, I said this is going to be an awesome game. This is a real treat to witness. Man, that was more than a treat. That was a dessert. That was a full belly of a beautiful StarCraft play. Love to see it. We're going to be jumping into our last game here after a short break.
Damn, son. I'm gonna be right back and use the bathroom.
So many Archons. And he's like,
whoa, be right back, guys. That was crazy.
So many Guardians. Have you ever seen so many Guardians?
Guardians keep coming, bro. They don't stop. Bro.
Good job by Queen. Holy, that was so many. I want so back.
I'm gonna grab my computer.
Yeah. Okay, we'll take a short break and then we're gonna finish this act and then we'll replay something if you want. Is it nice?
Yeah, it is.
It is nice.
Yeah, you there? Damn, that game was a roller coaster, boys. You ain't wrong. Whew, it's so nice to see Guardians pay off. It's so hard to be cost efficient with Guardians. I can't explain it enough. Like on paper, they're just not efficient. Like they always lose. Like you'll never trade at a 50% efficiency with Guardians for long. It's almost impossible. So you're almost always building them with the mindset of, I'm not going to win on the trade. I have to win tactically. So they can, like, say, shut down mining at a base or trade out with Templars and put pressure onto a location to get a small tactical win temporarily. And you can then leverage that into a game-winning position. But the Guardians on their own don't trade well enough. So it's really impressive from Queen to actually trade out well enough there. And even with the big bank of snow, he's unable to leverage it because there's not enough gas income because he hasn't got that 6 o'clock secured. So he's only got 4 depleted gases. So that's 75. Okay, so he's actually got he has actually got 300 gas a minute coming in. So he can make 2 Templars a minute, or like, you know, like 6 Dragoons a minute. It's not enough. It's not enough. And that's the key thing. There's this little window of weakness that Queen is exploiting with the tactical use of the Guardians. It's impressive. Very fucking impressive. And Queen was like making a lot of sacrifices to his economy to be able to do these things as well. Like, even though he had access to a lot of bases, they weren't well saturated and what have you. Crazy situation. I hope you boys are enjoying the game. Much love to you, Russell, and Arcadio, I guess. Arcadio. I need a cardio. I need a cardio workout. I do some walking and stuff like that, but I don't do nearly enough. Generally, I mean, day to day. He's on his way back now. You may get a drink or something en route though, or talk to Mia, so it could be another minute. There's the how long will say and be meta, and I've got it mostly cracked. This time he's going to get a drink and talk to Mia or his cousin for at least 2 minutes, so he'll be another 50 seconds to a minute 30, or minute 45. Oh, we still got JYJ and Queen as well. I mean, JYJ's TVZ is like pretty good as well. So the finals will be a nice game as well, hopefully. Will Terran take it and just stop this upwards trajectory of Zerg, or are Zerg going to get some more points again? Because Zerg have been just skyrocketing into the stratosphere. But this is like Terran's hope of, like, you know, completely flipping the script and changing the flow again. And yes, Protoss is flatlining. It is what it is. But I'm liking this back and forth action still. And even if Protoss aren't getting the points today, like, you can put that down to Best getting squashed by Royal. It's just unfortunate. But it's very wise from Terran to send out Royal first, because Royal's like the only guy that can really spank the Protoss players. So it gives them like an early positional advantage over Protoss.
Hello.
Hello, Puppet. Just dissecting that game and the overall week.
What a game. What a game.
Yeah, man. I was really impressed by the tactical usage of Guardians. Because on paper they don't trade well, but if you utilize them tactically well, you can get in situations like that, which are clutch. He's only mining 300 gas a minute, so that's like 2 Templars a minute or 6 goons a minute. He can't produce the units that he needs enough to get to win that tactical battle at 6 o'clock. Even with his big middle bank.
Shut down enough gas.
Yeah. Really crazy tactical plays from Queen, honestly. It was impressive. Showing his understanding of that matchup a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What are you eating, boy?
Cherries.
Cherries, yeah. I had some apples and grapes earlier. Is that going to become a thing? Are we going to become like fruit eaters while we cast?
Oh, you were eating it while you were casting?
Yeah, earlier I was doing apple slices and grapes. Yeah, there was like times where like I'd finish talking, quickly put like a slice of apple in my mouth and just munch on it really quickly while you're talking to make sure I'm finished with it by the time I need to talk again.
See, we can take the score down now.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to see a bit of an upset and Terran take it. Zerg on a upward trajectory right now.
All right. I'm like still almost out of breath after that one.
That was a fucking nail biter of a game, and honestly, like, really impressive. Like that showed such fundamental understanding of Zerg to be able to think like that. It's not easy to make those calculations and to know that you're trading into a deficit by having to force Guardians so much. It's really, you have to be so spot on with how you calculate that. Like it's so easy for those Guardians just to pop and the whole game just fall on flat on its face because you've just wasted so much resources on Guardians that accomplish nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And they will always fail the trade efficiency long term. It's purely tactical in how you use them that will get value, and he did a great job of that.
Yeah, and he was just pulling the Guardians back like an AI.
Yeah.
Every time that they were getting stormed.
Yeah, most of the time.
Just pulling them back.
Yeah, because it's 2 storms to kill a Guardian, but you can make it 3. You know what I mean? With good control and what have you. And you can really start to win the war of attrition if you're applying the pressure constantly is the key thing. If the pressure is like momentarily, then they just build up storm again. It doesn't matter. But if you constantly apply the pressure, constantly snipe the Templars, eventually you break through. There's not enough efficiency left in the army because, like I said, they're only mining on 4 depleted gases. So there's only 2 Templars a minute of production you have to worry about.
Right. Crazy.
Fucking crazy. I'm well impressed by Queen.
How many times did that 6 o'clock trade hands?
I don't know,
it was like
man.
snows, and then it was queens, and it was snows again.
It's probably
and
going to end up being a buffer state, you know what I mean? It's going to be like the North Korea of that planet.
Yeah, it's the DMZ of that. That game was nuts.
Yeah, you enjoy those cherries. Just don't eat the pits. They got cyanide in them. Wait, is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. The cherry. Yeah, you grind down cherry pits. Oh no, wait. Is it cherry pits?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this last game.
Let's get it.
All right.
마지막 게임 오늘 찐막 게임입니다. 자막 다 없어졌고요. 예. 찐막 예. 종최에서는 찐막.
My goodness, what a game. Queen versus Snow. Wow.
I feel like we just went to the gym.
I'm almost gonna miss Troy after watching that. That's like, I almost don't mind that being in the pool
Yeah.
if we get games like that.
That's what we've been saying. Like, yeah, it's not the most balanced of maps, but you can't deny the entertainment value of games like that on it. I mean, come on, guys. That's just, you don't get that on many maps.
Oh, that was incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic, one of a kind game. That's going in my 2024 best games folder for sure. Excuse me. We're jumping now into this game with Queen versus JYJ. Our final match of the night comes down to Terran versus Zerg once again.
Yeah. And they've been fighting each other for that the top spot on those point rankings. Zerg has been on that upward trajectory, but Terran, not far behind in terms of like most recent weeks. They've been grinding up the points and trying to maintain their lead. Now we could really see the fight start to become alive between these two forces, and who's going to get that final seed. More importantly, we might see a Terran versus Protoss semi-finals for the first time in a while.
Just the first 5 weeks have been played so far, so still plenty of play left here, plenty more weeks left in this season. We just finished casting the BSL Race Challenge series, and they actually have 10 weeks. Did you know that? I think
That's pretty well.
Yeah. They have 10 weeks, which is pretty awesome. And then 2 revives in the finals and semifinals,
Yeah.
which I feel like is a pretty cool adaptation. Makes the series a lot longer, though.
Yeah.
Tell you that.
And I don't think they planned on it being only 4 players on each side. They were planning on it being up to 6 as well. So we were kind of lucky that it was more KCM style with just the 4 players on either side rather than a crazy 6. I don't know what that would have been like. 6 players and 2 revives? That could have been crazy.
Yeah, that would have been a long day of casting, but as it was a very satisfying finals.
Yeah.
Looking forward to a nice semis and finals this season, as well as all players and all races firing in these weeks so far. Even though Protoss isn't taking home as many points this season as they did last season, I think they're putting up some great games regardless.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like we're always going to have StarCraft around. As we see these new games like Battle Aces and what have you come out, they're going to be much more arcadey and focusing on the unit control and tactical elements of the games. And you're not going to have this kind of raw real-time strategy element like StarCraft come through in many games, I don't think. So I feel like StarCraft's always going to have a place as this sort of like retro RTS that we're all going to know and love.
Absolutely. And what you were talking about earlier about as people get older, we expected that they would become worse and worse at StarCraft, but it just hasn't been the case. It's, I think, down to that, like, people were thinking that the reaction time factor was going to be like more of an issue in Broodwar, which it just didn't turn out to be. Games like Battle Aces and those other newer RTS, even StarCraft 2, far more reliant on reaction speed than this game, and I think that gives it a lot of longevity as well. At least it gives the players a lot of longevity. Nice snipe there. 1 Ling making it in the main and gets an SCV.
1 Ling to rule them all, saying, how crazy is that? Like, you don't see that in, I have to say, that's like a 1 in 1,000 that happens. Usually you see almost 0 damage done by a single. If anything, even like 2 Lings getting into their main base, you generally speaking wouldn't see much being done with that. So really impressive from Queen to get so much done with so little in both of these most recent games. I'm really impressed by Queen as of late. Like, there was a little bit of a phase where I feel like he kind of dropped out of relevancy and wasn't really showing up when he was playing in a KCM and other events, but as of late he has been showing a lot more spunk, saying, I have to say.
Absolutely. He was kind of the butt of every joke for a little while after losing out in the ASL qualifier to a no-name player. People were really rating him low, and he was playing to suit that moniker as well. People weren't respecting him, and it was with good reason. Oh, this medic! But as you said, he's looking a lot more sharp.
Yeah, I'm happy to see
Taking
it as well.
Games. Yeah,
and
yeah, showing up in KCM.
I mean, this is the Zero that I know and love, and I've always supported this guy way back in the day when he was using the moniker Zero. And he used to be a very low economy style of player, very strong with his mutalist micro, and in more modern times, he actually kind of revolutionized Zerg versus Protoss. There was a time where he was seriously dominant and just dominating everyone, and for like about a year window, he was looking like one of the star players. And then more in recent times, he has dropped off a lot. But now we're seeing that Zero that we once loved, and most recently kind of revamped the Zerg versus Protoss approach to the game. So I'm happy to see it.
We've got the first Mutalist harassment coming in. It's not going to target the natural, as JYJ might have expected. He's delayed his turrets in the main base, and back at home, Queen has 3 Sunkens coming online, so he's prepared for the counterattack, and he's dealing a lot of damage here with his main force. So this is working out beautifully for Queen.
Yeah.
JYJ is struggling to put anything together right now. He's not even going to be able to save this main base. He's just heading out on the map with his bio, but where's he going to go? There's no place to attack into. He comes back. He turns around and comes back with his bio now. He's got to fight. This is game-ending damage already that's been done to JYJ.
Absolutely wild. Yeah, he understood that JYJ would prioritize the natural turrets because of the spawn positions. Usually the Zerg will hit the natural first, or at the very least take a few extra precious seconds and getting into the main base, and Queen was banking on that and comes in and does so much damage in the main base. Still, this damage is being done. More and more Marines are falling with some pretty good Mutalist micro. He does get a bit of damage on this exit onto those pack of muters, but like you say, there was already game-ending damage. Queen actually ahead in supply, 50 to 43 right now. He can basically do anything he wants. He can go to 3-hatch all-in muters from this. You can just do a normal standard game and set up a lurker contain maybe while continue with the mutalist harassment, which means that there'll be no map control for JYJ, and the lurker contain will go down for free, and you have to wait for vessels to even come out here onto the map. Either way, this is probably going to go Queen's favor. Still 7 muters alive in this pack to come in here and snipe more and more of these SCVs. Turrets still yet to be finished up, Sam.
He's found such a nice little pocket here as well to abuse these SCVs. Eventually, he will be trapped in the back here and going to lose a few of these mutas. Will have to fly out through the turrets as well. But he's just done so much damage, and the longer he hangs out back here and just harasses the heck out of JYJ, the longer he's going to have to make this next transition or whatever he wants to do. He's got the 3rd gas coming up online here in the bottom left-hand corner, bottom right-hand corner. No Hydralisk Den just yet. It's looking like an all-in muta play.
Yeah. Yeah, it's looking like that. The amount of drones that were made as well are pretty indicative of a 3-hatch all-in Mutalisk, and the fact that he's like prioritizing these turrets right here, right now, with just a small amount of mutas does very heavily indicate that he wants to finish the game with a Mutalisk play. JYJ is going to see if he can just bluff out this game by just sending out units across the map. Hopefully, he'll be able to force a turnaround on these mutas, but I don't think that Queen's going to die to this. He's making a 4th Sunken to make sure that these 3 Sunkens don't get overrun. He can either make an evolution chamber out in front of these sunken colonies to hold on as well, but JYJ is going to gamble on breaking this sunken line here.
Now let's see if this gamble pays off. JYJ is setting up at the natural. He has all of the Marines here. He's stimming up and going for it. A lot of mutas are coming back from the front line. JYJ's base is no longer under attack, but he's got no workers left to speak of. He's breaking through here at the natural, killing off the sunken colonies, but I think there's just too many mutas. He's able to fight here with this final sunken colony and the 12 mutas to finish off the remainder of the Marines. The GG is called. Queen takes this one home. Ooh, a great way to finish. Got to be feeling good after taking home that really, really long, drawn-out ZVP. He, with a couple of quick moves in the early game, snaps the back of JYJ and takes the crown. Well played by Queen. Definitely looking like his old self here.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's this?
Hmm? I can't see.
There's like an extra match at the end.
Huh? Can you show me? Full screen it.
It's gonna be Jadong versus Queen.
Wait, what?
You're gonna do a ZVZ at the end.
Huh?
What is this?
It's like a little show match? Like,
I have no idea.
is Jaedong just called out Queen and be like, I can beat you? Or Queen is
I really don't know.
Queen is feeling it right now, and he wants to like show off some ZVZ because he dominated the ZVT and ZVP. Now he wants to dominate ZVZ as well.
All right, why don't we talk about the final result, and then we'll just say that there's another game, and we'll watch it.
Yeah,
How's
sure.
that?
Yeah.
All right, 1 sec.
This week was so crazy. We're getting an encore.
Yeah, that is wild. Never happened before, and never seen it
It's
before. But
KCM history.
here we go.
Yeah.
An absolutely epic night of StarCraft remastered. It's just fantastic, the games that we've had tonight. Just so many bangers, honestly.
Yeah.
So many great games. And I mean, definitely at least 2 different contenders for best of 2024.
Yeah, it was kind of wild to see Queen's tactical usage of Guardians come out in such like cost efficiency there on Troy. It's so hard to execute. His understanding of that matchup is almost unparalleled. It's just his execution that's been lacking as of late. But now he's kind of showing that formidable former self that he once had. And it's lovely to see Zero under the new matriarchal mantle of Queen, still showing that he's got a lot of life left in him. And now we see Zerg finally tying up on the 0.6 with the Terran squad and still on that upward trajectory to infinity and beyond, Sam.
Awesome to see another Zerg victory here, but for some reason, guys, the stars have aligned. I don't know what to say. If you guys have stuck around to this point, I think you deserve a little bit more Broodwar. I don't know what the special occasion is or why it's happening, but we've got a ZVZ to end tonight. It's going to be Jaedong versus Queen. Again, no idea why. There's a game here at the end of this week of KCM, but we're going to go ahead and cast it. Let's jump right in. Well, here we are, Shun.
Here we
in
are.
the final game of the night. The final game of the night, I guess.
Yeah, talk about
Not sure.
talk about subverting expectations, saying this is kind of interesting. I like it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what exactly has gone on here. Whether a challenge was issued by Jaedong or Queen, or something else behind the scenes occurred. Maybe there was a giveaway or something from the sponsor. Who knows
Yeah.
what's going on here? But we're happy to have another game to enjoy, and a mirror matchup, no less. Something that we never cast here in KCM.
Well, I think maybe, I mean, obviously I'm just speculating here, but maybe, Queen was dominating Terran and Protoss, and he just wants to get the hat trick. He wants to get the Zerg domination, and who better to challenge than Jaedong himself, the Jaedong versus Zerg master.
Yeah, it's Jaedong. Very well known for being an incredible ZVZ player. Both players going for an equivalent build. That's crazy. 12 hatch on either side?
This is crazy.
Do you ever play 12 hatch in this match?
No,
I'm not a big fan of it.
No, I'm the kind of guy that goes like overpull, then I get gas, then I'll scout the middle of the map with one Zergling, see if you're going 9 pull. If you're going 9 pull, I'll take ling speed and make lings, or if you're not going 9 pull, then I'll make a drone and a second hatchery and do like a 6 muter 1 base timing. I'm not a guy to go 12 hatch very often in ZVZ. This is wild that both players have chosen to go 12 hatch on the 2-player map, no less. Neo Dark Origin, a double 12 hatch is kind of crazy.
Handshake agreement, perhaps, between these two players. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but you could just immediately die to a 9 pull speed.
Yeah.
Easily. Even with the 11 hatch, it's still like a very close shave, but 12 hatch, you're just dead.
Yeah.
There's no way. So, I mean, maybe that handshake agreement happened, maybe not. Maybe they're just both on the same page here. It's hard to believe, though, like you said, on a 2-player map, Why would both players do this?
Well, it's a very rock
Other
paper.
than
It's a rock paper scissor thing. But here's the thing: is that if you assume that your opponent will play to counter a fast pool build, they'll do something like an overpool or 12 pool. Then you feel more happy about going for 12 hatch. And both players maybe had the exact same reasoning here. Like, it's so unlikely for me to go 12 hatch, so it's probably advantageous to do so, and it's led to this. And this is going to be such an interesting game because, like, there's going to be no craziness for the first like 3 to 4 minutes of the game, and in a ZVZ that's really rare to happen. We see a very fast lair out of Jaedong, and he's going to be making a sunken as well to like buffer against this, trying to get a drone advantage here, a tech and drone advantage, and rely on the sunken and get some surface area advantage going for him, and able to use these drones in their natural expansion to help in the fight if needed to.
Well, he'll definitely need to fight with the drones here. He's skimped very hard on overall Ling production, and Queen could get a huge advantage if he gets in, kills a couple of drones, or deals any damage. Well, he's just going to turn around, seeing that there's enough Lings. I am so shocked.
I'm not.
That we're getting away with this much greed for Jaedong.
It's very well calculated greed from Jaedong. You know, because of the 12 hatch timing, it's very hard for Queen to abuse him. If it was 11 hatch, though, maybe the pool timing would be just barely fast enough that these Lings could have maybe done something here. But yeah, I think as it stands, this is going great for Jaedong. It's a small little early advantage for him, and this Sunken will also be valuable in deterring Queen from going for any gambits of making a few additional Lings to try and punish Jaedong as well. So Jaedong's going to feel pretty safe and comfortable going forward in this game, and it's going to come down to pure control as we see the Mutalisks and Scourge being made. And I'm curious to see if Jaedong's going to try and leverage his gas advantage by making more Scourge, or if he's going to very tentatively, slowly push out more and more Mutas as time goes on. There's a different in style choices. There's the Scourge and Muta choice. It can go either way. He does have a pretty sizable gas advantage though, so you might want to get a big tempo swing with initial Scourge, or try and get a little more longevity of an advantage by making Mutas. But it seems like a big gambit from Queen is being revealed to Jaedong. This Overlord is going to spot all these Zerglings moving out here.
This is crazy. He's just going to go for a big Ling swell right before Jaedong was about to start making Mutas. And Jaedong is actually saving his larva right now. The Evolution Chamber is going to buy so much time here. It is a fantastic addition to this defense. Wow. But I don't like him not building any extra Lings right now. However, it seems like it's going to pay off. He's killed almost all the Lings. No way.
Jaedong versus
This has gone so bad. This has gone so bad for Queen.
I mean, this is crazy. I'm happy to see it. He almost could get this one drone, just barely doesn't get it though. One hit remaining on that drone, unfortunately. If he was a little bit more on top with his target firing, he maybe would have killed that drone, but no compensation for that assault whatsoever. And now going to be fighting the deficit. He's already behind in gas. Now he's going to be getting a little bit of a supply stuck as well. Really frustrating for Queen.
I mean, he used so many larvae to build all of those Lings. How does he have enough right now to build any Mutas? He's somehow managed to scrape a few together, but he's going to have to deal with Lings and Mutas coming into both bases. He can't really even afford to build Mutas at this point. He can only really build Scourge and just a few scattered Mutas a little bit at a time. With no drones mining minerals at the natural, it's really all you can go for. And being forced to build an Overlord right now, that's even less Mutas that he can make. He'll have to make masses of Scourge. Now going to take this at fight. Pretty good connections there with the Scourge, hitting a couple of these Mutas of Jaedong. Jaedong still chasing though. And with this many Scourge on his side, how are you ever going to take this fight? Queen is losing a lot here, and it looks like Jaedong's going to be able to overwhelm and chase down the last final Muta. There it is. It goes down. GG.
Jaedong is crazy, man.
There it is. Great way to end this week of KCM with a rarely seen mirror matchup. Vanishingly rare, in fact, as we almost never have mirror matchups in this tournament, but it was a fun match to watch and a nice and quick way to end this beautiful series, this beautiful week number 5 of season 2 2024. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We've enjoyed this cast, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, guys.
이게 어떻게 싸웠냐면 이게 종북청년전에서 신났어. 저저전을 선.
That's a nice
Alright.
little encore. J-Dong just wanted to, like, you know, lay it out on the table and let everyone know how big it was. Just so you all know.
That's right. Bit of a show off.
That's
It's a nice way to put it. Wait 1 second here.
Damn, son.
What's laggy? Oh.
What's that?
My 11-year-old cousin was showing me memes.
It's not like that skibbity
No.
toilet memes, is it?
No, he said, "You dare speak to me in that tone of voice, boy?"
Sounds almost like Bane or something.
Talking to his dog. Billy. All right, man. That was insane.
Insane in the
Oh, so-
membrane. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
And we got an encore of mirror matchup. Like, that was a wild week. Don't even know what to make of that.
I'm gonna have to be checking up at the end of every video now
Yeah.
to make sure there's no encore.
Yeah, just in case there's a little bit of bonus footage. Damn, we got bonus highlight reels and shit to work with now, content-wise.
That's pretty sick. It's good shit. All right, man. I'm gonna take this little boy outside and throw him in the water.
All right. Just make sure he doesn't drown, okay?
All right. Sounds good.
You have a good one, bud. Enjoy the
Yeah,
weather.
you too, man. Yeah. Have a nice day, man.
Yeah, you too, buddy.
Talk to you later.
Peace. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream, the cast. It was pretty crazy, I have to say. Pretty wild. And yeah, we've never had an encore of mirror matchup after a week as well. That's really bizarre. So, very interesting week. Very interesting times to be alive. Anyway, I hope you guys have a fantastic week and weekend, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.